call to order the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting. Welcome, everybody. Please join us in the salute to the flag and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among the united cultures. Okay, first item on the agenda is to approve the regular meeting agenda. John, is there any changes?
Mr. Chairman, we have the Cobre High School band students are here, and I was going to see if we could move item F to the first of new business, so that way they can get back to school, because I know they hate missing. They hate when they have to miss school, so.
Okay. Well, I would take a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Not second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we'll start with public input. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Anyone who would like to discuss an item in more depth may request to be placed on a future agenda. Request forms are available at the county manager's office. I know there's a lot of people here today that want to talk about several items. If there's an item on the agenda that you want to talk about during the discussion period, that would be the proper time to talk about that today. So what I'm talking about now is public input on something that is not on the agenda, okay? So if there's an item on the agenda, wait until the agenda item. You'll be able to voice your opinion during the discussion period on the motion. Does everybody understand? So what I'm calling for now is public input on anything else. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear it?
You probably need to be turned on.
All right. There? We okay? All right. Good morning, Commissioner Caston, Commissioner Ramos, Commissioner Hall. My name is Don McNutt. I'm Director of EMS at Healy Regional Medical Center. And you may know that I'm retiring at the end of this year, or the end of this month. And the reason I'm here is just I want to tell you how much I appreciate your support over the last 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you for all your service.
There's probably a really good chance that you'll be back for a meeting sometime around that time. Just, I know there's been discussions about that. Not saying, but... Okay, any further public input today? Yes, sir. How are you, Mr. Sandoval?
I'm doing good. How's everybody today? Good. Just a quick comment. I don't think I'm on the agenda, so I just wanted to say, the last time I was here, I was told that I'd be kept in contact with about the road. Again, nothing. I feel like I'm being lied to. The people out there, they keep asking me. I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, I can let you know the situation hasn't changed. We're still waiting on the surveyor. She's had to do a lot of research on those properties to put together the signature list. My understanding is that she's almost completed it and gotten it back to us, and then we're going to arrange for the homeowners that live in the community to come in and sign on that plat to dedicate the easements for the right-of-way. And the ones that live out of town, we're going to have to send them a signature page that they will sign and send back to us. So that's where it is. We haven't gotten anything, so nothing's changed on our end. We're still waiting on the surveyor to finish that signature page that we spoke about last time. And so as soon as we get it, we'll get everybody in to sign. And we can't proceed forward without that dedication of those easements, and so it's all in her hands. And she's been researching it all, is what we've been told.
John, what I'd like to see, let's go ahead, he has come here before talking about the same thing. Let's at least guarantee him once a week input. If there's nothing happening, just tell him that. But if you could have some staff call him once a week, would that be okay, Chief? Okay, once a week.
Something I can tell the people out there, they've already heard that there's a one out in Mimbres that's been approved, and that was way after I started doing ours.
Theirs was already a public right-of-way dedicated. Loma Verde is not. That's the difference. That's what's taking the time, is the dedication of the public right-of-way. Theirs had already been dedicated as a public right-of-way. That's why that one went quicker. So,
Can I ask you this? Has the surveyor been paid already?
no,
As a what?
Surveyor been paid.
no, she doesn't get paid until she delivers a product, and we're waiting for the product to be paid. We don't prepay for services.
No way we can push her to, it's been what? 3
It
months?
sounds like she's done, it's just been, my understanding from what I heard this week from Anthony was, it was a lot of research to make sure there was, it was all proper. I can't give any excuses for her, because I don't know why it hasn't. She's a pretty good surveyor. All of the surveyors are swamped in town. 3 months is pretty quick for, I know it's not quick for you, but sometimes it takes me 6 months to a year to get something from a surveyor in town because of all the work they do, and they keep coming in and telling me, I'll have that to you next week, and in a month, I got to call them again and ask where it is. So we're talking, Anthony's been in contact with her because she's doing a couple other projects for us, and my understanding is she's finishing it up. I think it's supposed to be done this week, and we can start to get people in to sign next week, I think is what I heard, but I'll have him call you. I will be with him this afternoon. We have to go to Albuquerque, so I will make sure he gives you a call, because I have your cell number, and so I'll have him give you a call and tell you exactly what Amanda told him.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
So,
Public input this morning. Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to approval of the minutes. Approve or disapprove April 23rd, 2013 work session minutes, and approval or disapproval of April 25th, 2013 regular meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion that we approve both April 23rd and April 25th, 2013 minutes.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and proper second to approve April 23rd, 2013 and April 25th, 2013 minutes. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item is financial reports. Approve or disapprove the May 6th, 2013 expenditure report. We went over this at our work session.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the May the 6th, 2013 expenditure report.
And I second?
There's a motion and a second to approve the May 6th, 2013 expenditure report. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
D.
Now we'll go to item F. Approve or disapprove a proclamation recognizing the Cobury High School Band for their musical accomplishments. Randy, are you ready to read that proclamation, please?
Before Randy, I just wanted to let people know they're standing. We got chairs coming. They just had to bring them from another building over here, so they got chairs on the way for y'all. You won't have to stand the whole time. So just wanted to let y'all know that.
Okay. Go ahead, Randy.
The County of Grant proclamation. Whereas the governing body of the County of Grant, having learned of the accomplishments of the Cobury High School Concert Band, does hereby extend its recognition. And whereas the Cobury High School Concert Band of the Cobury Consolidated School District in Baird, New Mexico, participated in the 2013 New Mexico Activities Association State Concert Band Competition held in Rio Rancho on April 27, 2013. And whereas the band's victorious performance earned them the state championship in the Class 3A category, making this their 14th state championship. And whereas all members of the Cobury High School Concert Band are to be commended for their musical accomplishments and their exemplary dedication to excellence. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the County of Grant that congratulations and recognition is extended to the Cobury High School Concert Band for their superior musical talent and success. Signed and sealed this 9th day of May, 2013, by the Grant County Board of Commissioners in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico.
So at this time, I would accept a motion to approve or disapprove the proclamation recognizing the Cobury High School Band for their musical accomplishments.
Mr. Chairman, it gives me great pride to approve the proclamation recognizing the Cobury High School Band for the musical accomplishments.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the proclamation recognizing Cobury High School Band for their musical accomplishments. Is there any discussion on that motion? Yes.
I just wanted to point out as well, one of our employees, her daughter's in the band, and she was telling me that Cobury High's actually, for band, is 2A, but they petitioned to compete against 3A, and so they're actually competing in a higher category than they actually are, and they're still winning. And so that's a great accomplishment.
Great job.
14 out of 15 years, that is amazing. I had a chance to speak to a lot of the parents, and they said their production up there at State was just phenomenal. They played beautiful, brought a lot of tears to a lot of your parents' eyes, and a lot of people that were there said the same thing. So you have a lot to be, you accomplished so much, and we appreciate you, and you are the leaders of the future, and we can't say no more, but congratulations, you make us proud.
Commissioner, I would say we're in good hands.
That's right.
Mr. Gerhardt, if you would like to say a few words, this would be the proper time.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is just a small sample. We have state track leaving today and testing still happening, so getting everybody here today was almost impossible, but I did bring a few of mine. The program is built, and I was telling them today, I've been telling them all week, about being better people. That's the number one goal with my wife in the middle school and the high school program, because we need people with ethics and things like that to succeed in life. And we just use music as that tool, and we're very proud of our accomplishments of 14 state championships in 15 years with one runner-up. We're not afraid to compete at a higher level, and primarily that's out of respect for the smaller bands in 1 to 2A. They're basically made up of middle school and high school students together, and I didn't think it was quite ethical for us to compete with just high school kids against those 7th and 8th graders, sometimes even 6th graders. So we teach a lot of life lessons. We appreciate your support of our program in education. It's very tough right now with cuts all across the board, and it seems like that's kind of the way of the world. But I figure if we just keep teaching them to do what they're supposed to do, be polite, be respectful, do their work, then things will fall into place. So I appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you for your leadership. You've done a great job with these kids.
Thanks.
I agree.
So at this time, we have a motion to approve the Cobury High Band proclamation. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Gerhardt?
On three. 1, 2, 3. One more. We are on item D. Item D.
approve or disapprove a proclamation declaring May 9th, 2013 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proclamation declaring May the 9th, 2013 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day.
And I second?
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve May 9th as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. Randy, can you read that proclamation, please?
County of Grant Proclamation. Whereas addressing the complex mental health needs of children, youth, and families today is fundamental to the future of Grant County, New Mexico. And whereas the need for comprehensive, coordinated mental health services for children, youth, and families places upon our community a critical responsibility. And whereas it is appropriate that a day should be set apart each year for the direction of our thoughts toward our children's mental health and well-being. And whereas Grant County's Children's System of Care, in cooperation with community behavioral health and school partners, utilize a unique collaborative approach to caring for the mental health needs of children, youth, and families in our community. Now therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim today, May 9th, 2013, as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day in Grant County, and urge our citizens and all agencies and organizations interested in meeting the mental health needs of children and youth to engage in activities, programs, and approaches that strengthen families and communities toward the goal of improving the mental health and well-being of our children and youth. In witness whereof, we have hereto set our hands and seal of the County of Grant to be affixed in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, this 9th day of May, 2013.
Thank you very much, Randy. Please state your name for the record.
And I am the anchor site manager.
Speak right into it.
I'm the anchor site manager for Systems of Care. And in honor of Children's Mental Health Day, we are hosting a scavenger hunt on Saturday, May 11th. Registration for youth from 11 to 20 is at noontime, and the scavenger hunt actually starts at 2. This is in partnership with quite a few partners in the community, behavioral health partners, as well as Western New Mexico. TWC is also hosting us, and so we encourage youth from 11 to 20 to come out. It's a free event. We will be giving, we will have lots of giveaways and prizes as well. We also will host a dinner from 5 to 7 for the community to come and just check the event out.
Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second on the floor to proclaim May 9th as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. Is there any further discussion?
John had a comment.
I was just going to let the commissioners know that I saw on the news this morning that the governor, in her wisdom, has followed the suit of this commission, and she also declared today Mental Health Awareness Day, because she realized you guys are going to do it.
I don't think she called us. Okay.
Shame on her.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Come on up, Rebecca, we've got a certificate for you. Let me see. We don't start on Tuesday. You wait until today. We were first on the list. Thank you. Usually we do this all by ourselves. If 4 people would like to take these chairs up here, it would be fine. Is there five chairs? You're welcome to take those chairs.
But you have to give a county report if you do. Right, Randy? No free rides here.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to approve or disapprove the proclamation declaring June 2nd through the 8th, 2013 as the first New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo Week.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve proclamation approve the proclamation declaring June 2nd through the 8th, 2013 as First New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo Week.
Chairman, I would second that.
A motion and a second to approve the Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo Week. Is there any discussion on that motion? Randy, can you read the proclamation for us?
Sure. County of Grant proclamation. Whereas the Southwest Horsemen's Association and Classic Pro Rodeo will be presenting the First New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo in Grant County, New Mexico. And whereas cattle ranching was created by the earliest settlers of the North American continent. And whereas ranching has been a major contributor to the history, customs, culture, and romance of Grant County. And whereas the sport of rodeo perpetuates and helps keep these qualities alive. And whereas the Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo is one of Grant County's major tourist attractions, and spectators, tourists, rodeo cowboys, and cowgirls from across the country will come together in Grant County for this annual event. Now therefore be it resolved that the Grant County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the week of June 2nd through June 8th, 2013 as First New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo Week. Signed and sealed this 9th day of May, 2013 by the Grant County Board of Commissioners in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico.
Thank you very much, Randy.
Thank you.
Hi, Kim. You want to tell us about the rodeo?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My name is Kim Clark, and I am the secretary for the Southwest Horsemen's Association. We are really excited to bring the 23rd annual rodeo this year to Silver City. We hope that all the residents of Grant County come out and enjoy all the festivities we've got going on. We kick it off with a team opening called the Walt Nichols Memorial Team Opening on Friday night, March 31st, and then we have May 31st. And then we start off with some events going on throughout the week during the day at the arena if you want to stop by. A lot of the rodeo cowboys can't make all the performances, so during the day we have events for them. We'll kick off Wednesday night with the Boys and the Bulls. Then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is the PRCA Rodeo. We just hope everybody comes out and participates. Flyers, posters are going up around the community this week. Tickets will hopefully be available first of next week at Circle Heart and at First New Mexico Bank. We want to definitely thank First New Mexico Bank for hosting the rodeo this year. Thank you.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Kim, I think we have a proclamation to give you too. Yeah, we really appreciate Southwest Horsemen putting on the rodeo for so many years. It's a great tourist tool, and we appreciate it.
Very entertaining.
We're going to move to item G. Mr. Ed Wilmot of the Greater Wind Canyon and the Wind Canyon Neighborhood Watch to address the commission on a potential waiver request for Wind Canyon 2 and give results of a community meeting. Mr. Wilmot. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and I do appreciate very much on behalf of our community to have this opportunity. I have, let's see, let me start off by saying I'm here to report out on a community meeting and so I have prepared text that I will simply read, but I think there is a need for a little context before I actually do read that.
Okay.
So if that's okay, thank you. Next thing I need to do is, well, actually, one of our neighbors prepared little name tags. We weren't certain. I guess there are a number of out there, but I think we ran out of name tags, so...
Everybody raise your hand then.
Those are Wind Canyon residents?
Mr. Wilmot's not home right now. It's a good time to get his house.
Not funny. Not funny at all. The sheriff is helping us with the neighborhood watch, and so that's definitely gonna keep that from happening, hopefully.
Sheriff's good guy to know.
Yes, he is. I also had some acknowledgments that I'd like to make, and particularly to Commissioner Hall. The way in which he's embraced our initiative here has been exemplary. He's helped us by getting a meeting together with the staff, and he's actually participated in a couple of our neighborhood watch meetings. So, thank you, sir. It's refreshing, and it's welcome. Thank you very much. Also, John, thank you too, and thank you to your staff. They've been very responsive to our initial concerns and requests. And of course, the sheriff, who really got us all rolling here with his neighborhood watch program. For those of you that know Ellen Pryor, I'm actually here on her behalf. She regrets not having been here, or not being able to be here, but she does look forward in the future to be working with you. And I'm really here reading this report at her request. Okay, let's see. The context. We did start communication within Greater Wind Canyon through a neighborhood watch initiative that Ellen Pryor has really been the leader for. And one of the things that really became very apparent is that some adjunct benefits to having this neighborhood watch initiative get started was the communication that resulted. We found just a number of issues that rose to the surface that have been underlying and actually individuals working on, but these issues came to the fore as a result of our additional communication from the neighborhood watch. So it's been very, very positive. But in the eyes of the community, the county, that may not be the case, because one of the major concerns is roads and roads maintenance and how it relates to emergency response, access to property, and even things like property value. So we started, and some individuals have been working on this issue for quite a while. So it's not just, it's not a brand new issue for the county, I know. But we did some research, and with the help of Commissioner Hall, we were able to understand that there was a variance, and I apologize, I used the term waiver. That's not the appropriate term. It is a variance to the subdivision regulations that the county was working on with the developer of one of the sections of Wind Canyon. And we were told, somewhat to our surprise, that this variance was going to be brought to your attention last set of meetings, on the week of the 23rd and 25th, but for a vote, for a discussion and a vote. But we as a community, there may have been individuals that might have known something about the variance, but as a community, we're really unaware of what this variance meant to us. So that really got us rolling. And we had another community meeting, and that is what I'm going to read the report from. One other bit of information, for those of you that don't know about Wind Canyon, it is in Commissioner Hall's district. It is a patchwork. There are two major subdivisions, but embedded within and adjacent to these major subdivisions are little islands of private property with different agreements with the developer or not, or with the county or not, or with the county developer and the property owners or not. It's kind of a patchwork. And so from an ability to have a continuous maintenance of all of the roads within Wind Canyon, it's very difficult. So it is a complex issue, and that will be reflected in what I read. So now I'm going to go to the prepared text. I don't want to deviate from that, since this text has been reviewed by members of the community, and I clearly want to represent the community as fairly as I can. Dear Commissioners, on behalf of many property owners in Greater Wind Canyon, we wish to thank the Grant County staff and Commissioners for cooperatively working with BT Enterprises to effect the transfer of ownership and maintenance of the remainder of roads in Wind Canyon 2 subdivision. It is particularly important to note that the county is making every effort to be creative and cost-effective in finding solutions. As you may be aware, some of the roads in this subdivision have already been transferred to the county and are being maintained routinely. Wind Canyon residents have commented that the road surface on Camino de Viento, one of those roads, is quite acceptable, and the county has been quite attentive to maintenance. The transfer of the remainder of the roads has been complicated, though, because of the financial status of BT Enterprises and the fact that a surety bond that had been in place to complete the transfer has been allowed to lapse. So there is no funding or surety bond that remains or is in existence at this point in time. Nonetheless, BT Enterprises is to be commended for its continued commitment to make good on its promises to property owners despite its financial difficulties. In its role of protecting the interests of the property owners, it is recognized that the county is looking for a reasonable way to proceed because of its commitments with the developer in creating the subdivision. It has been brought to the attention of the Wind Canyon property owners that a variance to the county subdivision regulations may be a part of a negotiated agreement between BT Enterprises and the county. This was confirmed at a meeting with Commissioner Hall and county staff on April 12th. At that time, the county planning director reported that he was going to brief the commissioners on April 23rd and ask for a vote on the 25th to approve the variance. Upon hearing that a variance was going to be brought before the commissioners, we requested of Commissioner Hall that the discussion and vote on the variance be deferred until property owners could be briefed. Most recently, at the April 23rd working meeting of the commissioners, the planning director made a different statement, that the next step was for BT Enterprises to petition the county for the variance and for him to brief them and to brief you and ask for a vote. The delay granted by Commissioner Hall did allow for a meeting to be called of the property owners within Wind Canyon 2. Wind Canyon Estates, also known as Wind Canyon 1, and adjacent lands not within these subdivisions. This group of properties will henceforth in this paper, which I believe you should have a copy of because I did drop it off last week to the front office. This group of properties will henceforth be referred to as Greater Wind Canyon. And that's what our name tags are saying. A very productive meeting was conducted on the evening of April 23rd involving approximately 50 property owners. Road maintenance has become a very important issue within Greater Wind Canyon. Unfortunately, the Greater Wind Canyon area has been allowed to become balkanized in that each subdivision has different arrangements for road maintenance that have created poor overall road conditions except on those roads currently maintained by the county. Quite frankly, confusion does exist within the community about responsibilities and how to proceed. Significant progress is being made in contacting and informing all property owners within Greater Wind Canyon, both resident and non-resident. This has intensified the interest and desire to find a fair solution to providing road maintenance for everyone. 2 requests can be reported out of the property owner meeting. Property owners within Wind Canyon, Greater Wind Canyon, make the following requests of the commissioners and county staff. Number 1, property owners within Greater Wind Canyon want to treat the solution to road maintenance holistically. That is, we want to make sure that individual solutions, such as the variance to the county subdivision regulations that may be proposed for Wind Canyon 2, are considered in light of the overall road layout and design, as well as current road surfaces within Greater Wind Canyon. Point number 2 and request number 2. Before the commissioners approve a variance to the county subdivision regulations for Wind Canyon 2, the property owners of Greater Wind Canyon, Greater Wind Canyon would like to fully understand what the variance is, the rationale for why an equivalent road quality would result, and how this variance will impact future road transfers within Greater Wind Canyon. What does this mean to the commissioners and county staff? Simply stated, it is our desire to partner with the county, BT Enterprises, and any other entities or persons who are financially obligated to effect an integrated plan to solve the Greater Wind Canyon road maintenance issues. We do not wish to unnecessarily delay or defer any ongoing actions, but we do request that we are fully informed and have an opportunity to have a voice in the path forward before final actions are taken by the commissioners. We have formed a team of property owners who are willing to be representatives for Greater Wind Canyon and who are willing to meet with county staff as needed. We recognize that there are different processes to effect transfers for road maintenance, and they will have to be used depending upon the original subdivision charters and road maintenance agreements between the subdevelopers, the county, and the property owners. but we are prepared to do what is needed as a united community. We believe that all parties will benefit from our requests. In making these requests, we've considered many aspects of what well-maintained roads can mean to everyone, including fairness to all parties for access to their lands, satisfaction of legal obligations, improving safety, ensuring emergency response capabilities, and maintaining property values. Okay, we are greatly encouraged by the cooperation that we've seen between the county and BT Enterprises, but we believe that by including the community of Greater Wayne Canyon in the discussions, an even more effective long-term solution can be achieved to a difficult road maintenance issue. We thank you in advance for your consideration of these requests and look forward to your response.
Thank you, Mr. Mormont. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Mormont?
Do we have a copy of that prepared statement?
Yes, it's in right
You
here.
have it in your packet behind his request. I just wanted to let the commissioners know that we have met with Mr. Thomason about the road situation, and it is true, that they will have to approach the commission with a variance request. There will be a public hearing when that happens. I think they're trying to prepare for the next commission meeting, the end of May, the 23rd it is. And so that would have to come in front of you, and my understanding, the variance is just not for a substandard road. It's, they're looking at, Subdivision Act requires a Type C base course, which is defined by how much material goes through a set of screens and at what rate and what's retained in each screen. And their variance is looking to go to a Type D base course, which is an acceptable standard in road production in rural areas. And so it does make a solid road that will be maintained, and it will be maintained as well as all the other roads in the area.
Maintained and more durable.
Yes, yeah, it will be very durable, and so what their variance is that's my understanding of what the variance will probably encompass. If there is a variance granted after that, then there will be a construction contract and a financial guarantee in place to make sure that work is completed so that the residents can have good roads out there and the county can accept them and go on maintaining them. And I'd like to echo that it's been great with the community and Mr. Thomason. He's been doing a great job coming in, wants to get this done as much as the residents do, and get it behind him and move on with that subdivision and everything else. This is something that he and his brother inherited when his mother passed away, and they're just trying to do what they can and do the best job they can with what's been given to them. So,
Thank you, John. Anything else, Mr. Mormont?
That goes a long way to satisfying the second request. But the first request was to look at this issue holistically. The issue that we're talking about with Mr. Thomason pertains to Wind Canyon 2, which is one of the two major subdivisions, and it doesn't get to the major issues of the other roads in the other subdivisions, as well as those that are really kind of segments of road that are privately owned that really connect subdivisions.
that's be looking at as well. That has nothing to do with Mr. Thomason, because those are private roads, but those landowners, Anthony Gutierrez has met with those landowners, and we are looking at solutions on those roads. There would be some type of improvement district, and so those are also being looked at, but it's a whole different process that will be not involving Mr. Thompson unless he wishes to participate as a landowner that owns land past where these sections of roads are, and that would be his only participation.
I'm not certain we can solve it here or intend to solve it here. The request was to make sure that we work with the county in this holistic, integrated planning of how to fix the road issues in Wind Canyon. The subdivisions have been allowed to exist in the way they are, and the existing properties have been allowed to exist the way they are. But we don't have a unified approach to solving the road problem in Wind Canyon. That is the first request, and very much would like to have the opportunity to work with county staff to make sure we have a longer-term plan hopefully a shorter, longer-term plan that can solve those problems also. Because we have roads that will connect these there are roads that exist that don't allow good access to to some of the roads in the subdivision of Wind Canyon 2. So we have people that have very difficult access because of these other issues that don't relate to the issue with Mr. Thomason.
I understand, and I'm sure county staff will be working with you. I do understand the disconnect of being able to do it holistically, because it is two totally different issues. But if there's a way to do that, then we will instruct them to do it that way. Otherwise, they'll have to be taken each on their own merits. Okay?
But I would still like to request that we look at it with an integrated plan in mind, using different processes, but we can still have an integrated plan and goal.
Work on it all at once.
Yes.
Even if it's two different processes?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And not to do anything is, I think they're going to be separate just because of, I don't want to hold up what Mr. Thomason's trying to do to fix the roads, to wait for the process. As you can, Mr. Anderson was in here earlier on Loma Verde, because on those other sections of road, we may have to get dedications of right-of-way, and that could take some time. And so, in speaking with Mr. Thompson, I think he's wanting to be done in 3 or 4 months and be completed and those roads turned over to the county if everything works as planned. And so, I don't want to hold that portion up, so they probably will be looked at separate issues, but then we'll try and make sure that they blend together and they'll all be county-maintained roads and be up to the county standards when it's all done. But they will have to be looked at separately.
My point for a lawyer.
Yeah, I
understand, and what we're telling you is it's probably not possible.
The roads that you're talking about are outside the subdivision, outside control of Mr. Thompson, but they access the subdivision. So those roads have to be looked at separately, and they have to be dedicated as public right-of-ways to the county, which they are currently. Some of them are private right-of-ways. So it's a totally different process that could take several months. In the case of Loma Verde, it's taken 4 to 5 months already since we've started, so it could take longer.
Let's do this. Rather than us go back and forth, let's sit down, let's discuss it. Mr. Sari will be there, our planner, if need be, and we'll sit down and make sure that we're all working from the same page and understand each other.
I guess the one thing that remains a concern for me is, from my initial reaction, is the county is a representative and is to protect the property owners in this negotiation with the developer, and that we need to make sure that the community is represented in discussions with the developer as well. There is a concern, at least my personal concern, that we have worked out an agreement with the developer without sufficient community input to make sure that the property owners are being represented with our best interest in mind.
Yes, and we'll be discussing that. Okay? I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lamar.
You have something else?
Somebody else want to?
She's a homeowner.
Homeowner? Come on up.
She's tagged.
Saw her name tag.
And I totally want to support what Mr. Wilmot just said. I'm the owner of Wind Canyon Lot 1, so I own the easement where you enter from Highway 180, and about half the neighborhood has to come through that entrance. And it is been, I think, identified by the county as the most dangerous portion because of the low water crossing. That needs to be dealt with. If there was a flood and a fire, which could happen because of lightning strike, emergency vehicles could not get across that low water crossing to half the neighborhood. I don't think that we compare with the other neighborhood. We have our plats, we have our surveys. We shouldn't have to wait months. We have a very small number of homeowners that need to be approached, and I think most of us are very willing to deed that land over and get this dealt with. It's to all of our benefit to have these roads done. So I understand it's two different processes, but I want you to know that the other Wind Canyon residents, the greater Wind Canyon, I think most of us agree with it, we want to be included, we want to get this taken care of, and we would like to be considered, if in different processes, at least in the same time frame. We would like to get this taken care of and done. We don't want it to go into the future, so know that we're there too.
You're there? Yeah, I'm going to tell you straight up and up front. You just told me you own the easement on that property. In Wind Canyon 2, they don't.
And we're all willing to deed it over and go through the process, and I've gotten information on the
You
process.
just told me there is that you own the property, therefore every piece has to be resurveyed, deeded over, the new plat done, signatures for every single individual on that road, where the other one is fairly straightforward.
Why does it
We-
resurvey?
Because you're deeding it to the county. We won't take a piece of property that's not surveyed.
All these are surveyed and platted.
Not the portion of the road.
Actually, it is.
The plat of an original subdivision isn't always where the roads are built, and so what we find when we go out and survey is the road doesn't sit in the easement sometimes, and so that's what we have to verify. It has,
I looked at all these plats, and the road is included.
If you're right, it'll be...
Yeah, I went down and looked at it at the county, they're all included, so it shouldn't be an issue.
And we'll have to take a look at it also.
It's pretty clear.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you guys from Wind Canyon coming in.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is approve or disapprove an intergovernmental transfer.
I gotta say that again.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say. Intergovernmental transfer or sale of a 2005 Dodge Caravan from the Grant County Seniors Program to the Tyrone Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $500.
Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve the intergovernmental transfer sale of the 2005 Dodge Caravan from the Grant County Senior Program to the Tyrone Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $500.
And I second.
There's a motion and proper second to approve the intergovernmental transfer. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approve or disapprove an intergovernmental transfer or sale of a 2002 Chevrolet S10 truck from the Grant County Senior Program to the Volunteer Fire Department, Tyrone Volunteer Fire Department, in the amount of $500.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the intergovernmental transfer sale of a 2005 Dodge Caravan from the Grant County Senior Program to the Tyrone Volunteer Fire Department.
Second.
Second?
There's a motion and proper second to approve the intergovernmental transfer of the 2002 Chevrolet S10. Is there any discussion?
I'm sorry, it was the 2002 Chevrolet S10.
Oh, okay. You read the wrong one? Did I
Yes,
catch it? All right, so we're doing the 2002 Chevrolet S10. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Approve or disapprove the intergovernmental transfer or sale of a 2004 Chevrolet Cavalier sedan from the Grant County Senior Program to the Grant County DWI Program.
Give me a chance to get
$500. All right.
To make the motion that we approve the intergovernmental transfer sale of a 2004 Chevrolet Cavalier sedan from the Grant County Senior Program to the Grant County DWI Program.
Amount of $500.
Yes, sir.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to transfer a 2004 Cavalier to the DWI program for $500.
I'd just like to say thank you guys for approving it. Terry just made $1,500 for a senior program.
There you go.
Got his lot cleared out where he can park his other vehicles.
There you go. We haven't approved this one yet. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is approve or disapprove a name change of the Conference Center from the Grant County Business and Conference Center to the Grant County Veterans Memorial Business and Conference Center.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the name change of the Conference Center from the Grant County Business and Conference Center to the Grant County Veterans Memorial Business and Conference Center.
And I proudly second.
There's a motion to approve the name change of the Conference Center to the Grant County Veterans Memorial and Business Conference Center. Is there any discussion on that motion? I thought you'd be here.
I just wanted to say, thank you very much for honoring the veterans of Grant County.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And the rest of the members, thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approve or disapprove an appointment of Keith Buffington to the Grant County Shooting Range Advisory Board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the appointment of Keith Buffington to the Grant County Shooting Range Advisory Board.
Second that.
There's a motion and proper second to approve Keith Buffington to the Grant County Shooting Range Advisory Board. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item M, approve or disapprove a letter of no confidence to the Gila Regional Medical Board of Trustees. At this time, before we do anything, I would ask Randy to please read that letter.
Sir, this letter is dated May 9th. It's addressed to the Board of Trustees of the Gila Regional Medical Center. It says, "Dear Trustees, based on our current understanding of the circumstances of Gila Regional Medical Center, the Grant County Board of Commissioners is hereby notifying the Board of Trustees that it has no confidence in the current senior administration at Gila Regional Medical Center. If you would like to discuss this matter further with the Commissioner, please contact the County Manager's Office at 575-574-0006. And respectfully, it has all three signatures for Commissioners.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion, a letter of no confidence to the Gila Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees.
And I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve a letter of no confidence to the Gila Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees. At this time, what I would like is anybody against the Board of Commissioners to pass this letter, to approve this letter. I'm going to ask for your discussion first. So if you are against the Board of Commissioners passing this letter, you just may line up behind the podium and go one at a time until you're done. Hi, Craig.
Hi, how you doing?
Just state your name for the record.
Okay. My name is Craig Stewart. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Gila Regional Medical Center. Give you a little bit of my background. I've been at Gila Regional almost 8 years, 7.5 years. I've been a Chief Financial Officer for over 30 years in hospitals, and I've been in healthcare finance for over 40 years. I've worked at over 15 hospitals in 7 different states. Let me paint you a picture of the financial reality we are facing at Gila Regional Medical Center. Number one, we had to take action because of declining volumes and reduced reimbursements. Number two, we've had the federal government cut the Medicare outpatient payments by $1.8 million per year. Number three, Medicaid outpatient reimbursement has been cut by 30% during the past 2 years. This has cost Gila Regional Medical Center $2.5 million per year in lost reimbursement over the past 2 years. Number four, sequestration has just started. This will reduce Medicare reimbursement by an additional $500,000 per year. Number five, the Accountable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, will reduce reimbursement to the hospital by $1.5 million per year. Number six, Medicare has forced hospitals to turn one-day inpatient stays into outpatient observation visits. This has cost Gila Regional Medical Center an additional $500,000. Number seven, on top of all the above, the sole community provider funding was stopped during December 2012. We currently have a $9 million sole community provider receivable. Our loss will be approximately $3.5 million by year end, even if we get 75% of the sole community provider money for this year. If we get no more sole community provider money, our loss will be $13 million. Number eight, for 2014, we are told we may get 50% or less of our sole community provider funding. This represents a $6.5 million cut. Number nine, in November 2012, we had 153 days of cash. We now have 105 days of cash. In 7 months, we have lost 48 days and $10 million of cash. Number 10, the bottom line is we face a $10 to $12 million deficit in net revenue for the next fiscal year. If we continue in this way, we will watch ourselves go bankrupt. We're not talking about fine-tuning the hospital, but changing how we do business, including the services we deliver and how we deliver them. We cannot count on the fact that the federal government will save us. You can shoot the messenger, but the message is not going away. Problem a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is David Furness. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Gila Regional Medical Center. I thank the Commissioners for providing me the opportunity to speak today, and I would like to inform you about some of the cost-cutting measures we're putting in place at GRMC. Over the past 3 months, our 14 operational restructuring teams have identified savings of approximately $5 million in a comprehensive review of expenses and cash outlays, not limited to restructuring our relationship with QHR, ceasing further capital expenditures for the current fiscal year, and reducing our capital budget target for the next fiscal year. As a part of those efforts, we will continue operating with our current version of the Meditech Hospital Information System, delaying the planned upgrade by 1 year, thereby deferring approximately $1.8 million in capital expenses for hardware and software, and an additional $500,000 in operating expenses for training. We have also suspended our master facility project and will pay back the initial $10 million of bonded debt to the Bank of Nevada, making the hospital debt-free. Reductions in staff or changes of status were only considered last as a final tactic of expense reduction. In light of these changes, I believe it is also important to consider some of the significant progress made by GRMC over the past 7 years to have brought comprehensive cancer care to our community, to have become recognized as both a regional and national leader in the adoption of health information technologies, and the repeated recognition by Quality New Mexico as a leader in the state of New Mexico in delivering high-quality care to our patients. In closing, I will say that I believe the cost-saving recommendations made by the senior management to the Board of Trustees and the actions taken by the trustees upon those recommendations to be both reasonable and appropriate based on the hospital's current and long-term financial outlook. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Please state
Good
your name for
morning.
the record.
I'm Pam Folks, and I am the CNO, COO at Gila Regional Medical Center. I came in August of 2011 and just assumed additional responsibility for other operating departments in January. So I have all the nursing, the clinical, and the support services from housekeeping to the operating room. I would like to share with you some of the points and elaborate on a few we've heard. You just heard the financial picture. We had a very serious situation facing us, and to not take action was just certainly not a consideration. You've also heard some of the cost savings that we have begun, and we believe will recognize and meet those projections. I would like to share with you some additional areas that we have addressed so that you have a breadth of understanding of the comprehensive approach that we sincerely tried to take in doing this. As you heard, we formed 14 teams in January as we began to understand the scope of what we were dealing with, to look at everything from contracts to services. Our goal in this was to restructure how GRMC functions and operates in order to maintain a healthy, sustainable organization that meets our mission, our values, and maintains especially our quality of care. Let me share with you a few of those outcomes. We were able to renegotiate our health insurance and have no increase in premiums to our caregivers next year for an additional savings of $460,000 yearly. We decided not to fill a lot of our current vacancies, and as people left, not to replace them in positions that we felt like we could do without. That's a projected savings of $840,000. $100,000. And we've done many other things, looking at contracts and purchases. An example is we renegotiated the lease on our MRI for a savings of $102,000. We have a team taking input from our caregivers, where we've asked them to submit ideas for cost savings. We feel like they have a better, closer look at many areas that we do not. We're looking at everything from too many printers in the offices to we don't have to have food at our meetings. We're also going to our providers, and we'll seek their input as well. I lead a team that is analyzing our programs and our services. We're looking at costly services that we're losing money and trying to see how we can restructure and make them more closer to break even. In some cases, that's been impossible, such as the Luna County Home Health Service you're aware of. We're looking at opportunities to expand our revenue, not just to cut. Looking at new services there. We have to have services that make a profit in order to be able to cover for those like behavioral health or EMS that we desperately need in this county, that obviously lose up to hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. Among the new services, we've just started a cardiology program. We're looking at our wound care program and planning to expand that. We're looking at a stroke program and offering that through telemedicine through our neurologists. All of these are reductions in savings that we've considered and opportunities to expand revenue. Unfortunately, there just was too many reductions in revenue to not also look at our caregivers. We did restructure or reduce hours of some 70 caregivers for an approximate $1.27 million. We hope many of those hours through attrition will be able to be given back to our current caregivers. We did close or make plans to close with the 6-week notice our home care in Luna County and looking at our homemaker services here in Grant County. Our key goal throughout all of this is to maintain our quality and to focus on what are the opportunities for us in keeping us sustainable. We've talked a lot about the 10% of our caregivers that regrettably were impacted by these hours, but we also have to look at the 90% that we're trying to maintain their positions so that we can continue to offer the quality of care that we now deliver to our residents. I ask for your support in allowing us to continue our work. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Brian Bentley. I am the administrator at Gila Regional Medical Center. Been there about 5.5 years, run 6 different hospitals, and have done interim administrative work at a number of others. I've got a very broad 37-year background in the healthcare field and about 27 years as a CEO. You've heard the kind of problems that we're facing. You've heard the actions that we're taking. We are fully involved in trying to keep ahead of a parade of reimbursement cuts that are being put at hospitals not just in Grant County, but all over the United States. Regardless of who the management team is, they're going to face significant and growing reimbursement concerns. The cuts that have been made and those that are in process will not balance Gila Regional's financial position. In addition, additional reductions will occur in 2014 and 2015 and beyond. CMS has just released 1,400 pages of proposed regulations to implement additional cuts in 2014 and 2015. That process will continue. Temporary pay cuts and attrition is not going to be sufficient. It's going to take a complete restructuring of the organization, and the process that we have put in place is aimed at accomplishing that. This will not happen without having fewer people at the hospital. In 2014, GRMC can be smaller, but still providing most of the services it currently offers in a safe and quality manner. It can be providing new services such as cardiology and wound care, but it also can be in a position of looking for a new leadership team to learn how the operation works and how it can find savings. It may be suffering lower volumes resulting from chaos during the transition. I know that was certainly the case when I got here 5.5 years ago. Regardless, all of the same reductions in reimbursement will still be there. Focusing solely on paychecks means you're not focusing on service provision, quality, safety, or financial stability. You have to do it all. That's what we're attempting to do. We recognize the pain this incurs on people who end up having either reduced hours or ultimately a loss of jobs. This is not our choice in terms of the circumstances, but it is our responsibility to provide recommendations to the Board of Directors in dealing with it. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Nat Williams. I'm an anesthesiologist at Gila Regional for the last 4 years. I'm not an administrator. I am a clinical practitioner who takes care of patients firsthand every week of the year. My perspective, in part, is before I was here for the last 4 years, I was in Doñana County for 25. And I have a lot of vivid memories of what it's like to coordinate a medical staff, a hospital board, a hospital administration, and a county commissioner board that are trying to all, in good faith, do the same thing and communicate with each other. This is not going to get easier. The federal government is the biggest payer in the country for health care, and they're broke. We're all going to have to deal with this together to make it work. I personally think that instead of a single negative vote of no confidence, a more contextual, ongoing conversation between the county commissioners, the hospital board, hospital administration, and the medical staff will serve us much better in not only this ugly, unexpected dealing with our loss of sole community provider funds, which is a problem in Doñana County too, I assure you, but also in all the upcoming frustrations that are bound to be coming down the pike until I retire and become a Medicare patient myself. So I would strongly ask you to have a more involved, layered, conversational input into this process instead of a single negative no vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is Wanda True. I'm AVP of Nursing and Clinical Services at Gila Regional. I have been a caregiver at Gila Regional since 1987 and performed in a variety of nursing roles. In my current leadership role, I oversee nursing services, EMS, and mentor 6 individual caregivers. Having been a long-term caregiver, I have also had the opportunity to work with many senior and administrative leaders. Our current senior leadership team has achieved goals and positive outcomes which I did not experience with prior leadership. This team has focused upon aligning services, prioritizing patient safety, quality care, diversity, accountability, and growth for our patients, customers, community. This has been achieved in the face of an ever-changing and evolving healthcare environment. The senior leaders are my mentors, and I have my complete respect and support and commitment for the difficult decisions which need to be made. I view them as proactive, engaged, and visionary. They are open to suggestions, ideas, and input from all of our customers. Without this philosophy and practice, I would not have the ability to perform effectively and efficiently, which I view myself as doing in my current role as AVP. I am very proud of GRMC's senior leadership team and to be a member of the administrative team. And I ask the commissioners to consider further engaged conversation and do not go forward with this vote of no confidence. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Goober. I am the AVP of Organizational Improvement at GRMC. I've filled both staff and management leadership positions at GRMC for the past 37 and a half years. Some people say, why don't you retire? I've worked with multiple senior leaders, multiple boards, multiple other leadership people during that time. The leadership of Gila Regional has the responsibility to assure that we provide quality care while being fiscally sound. The current healthcare environment in the nation is not friendly or supportive to any healthcare providers in the country, and is particularly brutal right now to the providers in New Mexico as well, and that relates to the sole community provider funds that are being taken away. The senior leaders of Gila Regional are a strong, competent, caring group of people who have agonized over the steps that would need to be taken at this time to keep GRMC fiscally sound and to remain able to provide necessary services to the community. They demonstrate their commitment to quality care for our patients and the community, even though decisions that have to be made are many times very, very difficult. I totally support these leaders individually and as a team for their efforts to keep Gila Regional viable to provide health care for the people of Grant County and our surrounding areas. And I, too, request that the commission work with us as opposed to just saying, no, we don't trust you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marie Staley. I have worked for Gila Regional Medical Center for the past 22 years. I'm currently the Director of Patient Financial Services with responsibility to oversee patient access registration, insurance billing, patient accounts receivable. So in other words, my office processes claims and receives payments for all hospital services. My purpose today is to provide some real-time information with regards to what our office has experienced with regards to hospital reimbursement. This year, 2013, is proving to be a pivotal year for health care as the entire country prepares for the implementation of the Affordable Care Act on January 1st, 2014. This is when everyone will have access to affordable health care. Medicaid entitlements have expanded to cover more individuals. The state of New Mexico is revamping its entire Medicaid program through a model called Centennial Care, and has announced 4 managed care organizations, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Molina, Presbyterian, and United Healthcare. These companies will be enrolling individuals and contracting with providers and facilities such as ours. We do know for a fact that as of last week, the details for Centennial Care have not been finalized nor rolled out to those payers. We don't know if the current Medicaid rates will change, but we do know that our Medicaid population will probably be increased because of the increased entitlement. The major part of the Affordable Care Act is the requirement that every American be enrolled in a health insurance plan, whether through an employer group or individually. The federal government has mandated that an insurance exchange will be available for people to go out on the internet and select a plan which fits their needs. This has been described as a process similar to going out to Travelocity and selecting an airplane flight. The state of New Mexico has taken the responsibility on to provide its own insurance exchange. We do know that the open enrollment for these plans begins October 1st, 2013, less than 5 months from now. We don't know what the insurance choices will be on the exchange. We do know that companies that have approached Gila Regional for us to be in their provider network are proposing rates similar to Medicare and Medicaid. We do know that there will be a shift in our uninsured and underinsured population, but we don't know what the financial impact will be. We do know that the Medicare program will be affected by the Affordable Care Act, as we are beginning to see already. Rural hospitals will be significantly affected. The restructure of the federal health care entitlements will shrink reimbursements to hospitals. We're starting to see that with the 2% sequestration reduction for Medicare across all lines of services, which started April 1st this year, April 1st, 2013. A significant number of our patients qualify for Medicare, not only age 65 and older, but also for the underage disabled. Whether by design or otherwise, the requirements and process for hospitals to be paid for services is becoming much more burdensome. We are experiencing an increase not only for Medicare, but other insurance companies across the board in account audits. Medicare, Medicaid, other payers are contracting with companies whose purpose is to recover overpayments from hospitals. Our appeals for payment are increasing. Insurance companies are doing everything they can to not pay our claims. More and more reporting detail is required. Payments are being reduced for bundled services, and Medicare is now capping services which had not previously been capped. This is an ever-changing environment. The real-time changes are being announced by the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid at their website, cms.gov, if anybody wants to sign on and get the updates. In these uncertain times, it is critical that our efforts be supported by seasoned, experienced, trench-proven leadership, both in the hospital administration and the Board of Trustees, who have the foresight and integrity to make the tough calls.
Thank you very much. Next.
Hello, Jess Moyers, SCU Director at the hospital. I've been here since 2004, and these budget cuts and financial restraints didn't start last week or a month ago. This started as late as December with the fiscal cliff happening on us. So everything was starting to be in place, but we were looking at ways to cut costs, reduce costs that can be easily absorbed and not affect caregivers. And up until then, we've done everything that we possibly can do, and we've involved everybody from upper administration to mid-level management to anybody on the floor. And if it's the intention of this commission to have a vote of confidence to replace the upper administration, you could actually throw this organization to greater turmoil with a new group coming in, and the first thing they would like to do is reduce staff even more. And that would be a slippery slope we all follow if that's the case, what we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Chris Jepson. I work with the Firstborn program as a home visiting nurse. I've had employment with Gila Regional for nearly 15 years and have felt in those 15 years confidence in the leadership, supported. I've been given autonomy to work in ways that have been creative, developing new programs within the maternal child department. And I heard yesterday at our town hall meeting at the hospital, Mr. Bentley speaking to a majority of our staff, or a large portion of our staff, in a way that sounded to me honest. I had no reason to disbelieve what he was telling us and the agony that our leadership had to go through to make the decisions. Last week on Thursday, I received a letter and was told that the current hours that I was working, 40 hours a week, were to be cut to 20 hours. This was painful. I was saddened, and I was fearful, as I'm sure many people in this room are fearful. This is a scary situation, and what we need to do is stick with the administration that we've had that has led us through difficult times before, but nothing this difficult. If we change our administration, if we change our leadership now, as I think the two speakers before us said, the chances are good we will be in major chaos. It is not wise to decide to upheave everything that we have in place right now. I understand that people are scared, but to shoot the messenger, to tar and feather those in leadership is not the right answer. We need compassion. We need respect. I wish that the process that this had happened had been better, but this is not the answer. I feel scared for our community. I feel scared for the programs that I work for with mothers and children. But I worry that those programs are going to be worse hit by deciding that we need to start protecting everybody's job on top of everything. We don't have the money to do that. And I think it's crazy to assume that we can. I think what we need to do is look at more creative ways, be apologetic and sincere and appreciative of the hard work that everyone that works for the hospital gives, but not to make assumptions that we don't like what the message is. Thank you very much.
Hello, Dr. Donnell. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Some of you may know me. My name is Dr. Mark Donnell. I'm an anesthesiologist at Gila Regional Medical Center. I would be willing to donate a little money to improve your sound system at some future time.
Just so you know, the mayor is supposed to improve the sound system. We bought the chairs.
Okay, very good.
So I will turn James, if you'll give me your cell phone number, I'll send James.
Very good. I came to Silver City 20 years ago after looking around the Southwest for somewhere that I thought would be a stable, nice place to live, and that had a good medical center and an educational facility like Western New Mexico University. I was very impressed with Gila Regional 20 years ago. For a small community hospital, it had physicians with outstanding training who had chosen to come to this community. I have stayed at Gila Regional Medical Center because it has maintained that level of quality over the time that I've been here. In the past, I'm currently a member of the Medical Executive Committee. I am not employed by the hospital like most anesthesia providers, all anesthesia providers. I'm an independent practitioner. The hospital bills for its portion of the anesthesia supplies. I bill for my professional component separately. I know what good administration is, and I know what bad administration is. The name John Rosfeld will live in infamy in this county until everybody knew him has passed away. He was an administrator at this hospital in the past who was totally incompetent and caused numerous problems. I have worked with the current administration since they've been here, since I've been here all this time. And I can tell you that I do not believe that the hospital has ever had a more stable, more qualified hospital administration. They have been pushed into crisis primarily by this loss of sole provider funds for rural hospitals. We are not the only hospital to which this has happened. There are 20 more hospitals around the state, perhaps more than that have lost the same funds that we have lost. HMS here in town also gets sole provider funds. They have lost those as well. So you're not looking here at a mismanagement by the administration. You're looking at a crisis that has occurred. And if you choose to direct the Board of Trustees to replace the hospital administration, you may actually worsen the crisis in the process. This is a team that's been in place for 5 years. They have a good track record. If you look closely at what has occurred at the hospital, there is not mismanagement, there is not loss of funds that shouldn't have occurred. These are all changes in health care that we had thrust upon us. I would very much like to see the commissioners, perhaps one at a time, so you don't have to consider it a meeting, come to the Medical Executive Committee meeting at the hospital. Come to some of our other meetings, see how administration is working with the hospital. I'm afraid that what's happening here is that you are rightfully getting complaints from your constituents regarding the loss of work hours that has been part of the balanced budget approach that the administration is taking. And I know that that is very hard on people, but I also know that it's critical to look and see if this administration has truly done things wrong or whether they're merely trying to respond in a responsible manner to a situation beyond their control. So I would urge you to, at the very least, postpone this motion for a lack of faith in the hospital trustee board and look into it further, perhaps come to some of our meetings and see what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will ask for discussion for those of you who want us to approve the letter of no competence. Just line up and we'll take you until you're done.
Hello, my name is Al Grauer, and I'm a resident of Grant County, and it seems like to me that up to this time, 1/4 of New Mexicans have not had access to health care except through the emergency rooms, which is the most expensive way to do it. the financing system in this country is the most convoluted and chaotic that I can possibly imagine. I couldn't invent a system like this. Our healthcare is good. But in spite of all of that, it looks like to me we need to keep Gila Regional Medical Center strong so that it's able to serve the people who are now going to be eligible for health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. And so I listened to all of this, and I feel some feelings towards the people who are trying to deal with this avalanche of chaos in the financing system that is our health insurance system. But I also feel like there doesn't seem to be sort of an equal thing in overhauling management and focusing on cuts in that area. It seems like it's all on the healthcare providers. So I would encourage you to vote for this as a first step. Perhaps it's using a 2x4 to get their attention, but to have a dialogue of how Gila Regional Medical Center can be in a position to service or provide the care that they're supposed to provide under the Affordable Health Care Act, and not be wounded in such a way that's not possible. And I think as my elected representatives, it's your responsibility to vote for this, but to also not do that as the only thing, but to get into an extended dialogue to make sure that this facility maintains its ability to provide for this community, which is absolutely essential. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
My name is James Rogers. I just learned of this meeting shortly, a short time ago. I would like to bring up that I have been a paramedic at Gila Regional for 21 years, retired in 2010. My wife currently works there, and I understand all of the financial problems and things that are going on now. But I also feel that a vote of no confidence should reflect that the upper management of the hospital does not relay back to the employees or the citizens of Grant County their sight of problems that are coming up, so that all of this stuff comes up as a surprise. I have several instances that I can speak of that I know of personally, that where I felt that management put themselves above the regular worker. I myself was given a month off for a slight violation of HIPAA regulations, and I've learned that the HIPAA regulations were broken by 2 senior management people, and all they have done is harass the person that didn't break the HIPAA regulations. I also went to Mr. Bentley on safety issues for the staff and had a very long discussion with him. And I asked him to get back to me and give me some sort. I even gave him several instances of putting up signs that caregiver abuse is against the law, and having those posted on the hospital. My wife was assaulted in the ER, and I felt like the hospital should have been more involved in the prosecution of this abusive patient. I would like to know the number of assaults that have occurred in our ER and how the hospital is dealing with them. I would like to go along with Governor Martinez's open information on salaries and things of that nature. I also went to the Board of Trustees with Mr. Bentley, with Ms. True, told them my concerns over the safety. This was back in March and April of last year. I was told by the board, the supervisor of the Board of Trustees, or the head of the Board of Trustees, well, Mr. Rogers, you come back in a year and I'll let you know what's happened. This non-communication between upper management and the rest of the community, Mr. Bentley stated it very plainly when I first met with him. He works for you. The hospital is a county hospital. It is owned by the people of this county. The information that comes out, good or bad, should be disseminated out to the people of the county, whether it be good information or bad information. And things that are being done to address it should be forthcoming continually, not just when an emergency hits or whatever. I have felt that people's lives, especially staff people at the hospital, have been endangered for many years. And yet, I have not heard any response from the Board of Supervisors or Mr. Bentley or anyone else at the hospital. I think that's a very valid thing, and I think that a lot of the people that work at the hospital have a right to know, hey, if I go into work tonight, am I going to be safe? If I go into work tonight, am I going to have a senior administration person there to answer my questions? Because some of these people work nights.
Mr. Rogers, you're about out of time, so we'll just finish up.
In conclusion, I would like to say that it's not only the financial situation that the hospital is in, and this vote of no confidence. The vote of no confidence should include, and I agree, maybe changing administration at this time is not a good idea, but I do think that this commission needs to get their attention and needs to make sure that we, the people of this county, understand what's going on and what they're doing and how they're going about fixing it. Not let it come up as a surprise. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, I'm Teresa Rizaga Morales, and I'm part of the medical staff at the hospital, as you know. And please forgive me if I stumble over my words. I wasn't expecting to speak today, but I thought it was important. And I wish all of you could have been at the town hall meeting yesterday, because there were so many caregivers there that spoke up about their frustrations, about their concerns. There were so many caregivers that spoke up who weren't among the 70 that were cut, about their frustrations, about how this was gone about. One of my biggest concerns is that it seems that depending on the day or the situation, numbers change. Numbers of days on cash at hand. When dealing with the finances, we hear different numbers, different stories as to why decisions are being made change. I think that there is a level of dishonesty among our senior administration and lack of integrity. I'm concerned that even at the town hall meeting, some of the information that was given was perhaps false or half-truths. I mean, there was a lot of blaming going on about the federal government, the state government, and even Mr. Bentley blaming the board for what had happened. I can't get inside the board's heads, but I imagine, knowing them, that their intention was not to devastate 70 people, or most of those 70 people, because as you know, a lot of those people cut don't make a whole bunch of money and can't live on just half of their salary. I believe their intention was to go through and have people share in the cut. Even talking, I think there are ideas that weren't entertained. One of the caregivers mentioned that it sounded like it wasn't even entertained, going through a tier sort of level and maybe cutting people who make more money. I am an employee of the hospital, and I would be one of those people that would get cut more, and I would be happy to share in that responsibility if I needed to. But that, to my knowledge, wasn't even entertained. At least that was the answer that was given. Also, I think there was false information given yesterday when talking about the sole community provider funds. Mr. Bentley stated that one of the reasons, or maybe the reason why we're losing this money, is because the state made a mistake on calculating how much money the hospital should get. Being married to a state senator, I learned that that's not true. If the state makes a mistake, the state pays back that money, not the hospital. The hospital would not be responsible for paying back that money or not getting that money. If the hospital needed to pay back money, it was because of a mistake that the hospitals have made throughout the state, and perhaps with the Hospital Association in calculating those numbers there. So that information was false that was given out, and that was bothersome to me to hear, because a lot of the time, we get numbers thrown at us or different things, and they make it sound really good, and it's difficult for people to question. But something that I was really proud of yesterday, that people were willing and had enough courage to get up and question these things. I think that right now there aren't more people here speaking because, perhaps for fear of what will happen to my job if I do speak out. I personally have even seen instances of retaliation because of what's going on, and people who may have spoken out that the senior administration is not happy about. I'm concerned that also, I think that another thing that I heard yesterday was a real lack of accountability. There was no sense of any accountability on the part of senior administration, taking responsibility for anything, not even part of it. It was all blaming other people, whether it was the government cuts or even the Board of Trustees for making a decision, as if the Board of Trustees were the ones that said, let's cut 70 people in half, which they weren't. And so just that is concern of mine, that there's even been instances where at one time senior administration said they did not have a list of people to cut. They weren't sure about where that was going to come from. And yesterday, Mr. Bentley said he's been having a hard time because he's known for 2 months who he was going to cut. So there's a lot of different stories changing, numbers changing, and it just leads a lot of people to feel a lack of confidence in them, and I'm certainly one of them. And so I do agree with your vote of no confidence. And just to make one other comment, I did say it yesterday, and I'll say it again today, was that something that really bothered me as well is that they said one reason why we didn't go and just give a cut to everybody so everybody could share in the burden but still survive, living in this community, was because it would make us less desirable to recruit when we needed to recruit. I was bothered by that because there seemed to me more of a lack of concern for the people that we already have that have given so much of their lives and time to this community and to this hospital. And when you're in a small community, everybody's like family there. And so many people were willing to take cuts to prevent such drastic measures. And yet there's a worry that of someone that we may or may not recruit down the road. more so than a concern for the people that work at the hospital now and that put their whole heart and soul into that. And so that's something else that's concerning for me about this senior administration. But the most concerning is the lack of transparency, at times dishonesty, and I believe the lack of integrity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's not a football game.
Sometimes you think it is.
Go ahead, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Jeff Hobbs. I'm a critical care paramedic with Gila Regional EMS. I've been in EMS for about 20 years and proudly serving Gila Regional for the past 13 in EMS. I'm here to support the letter of no confidence, but at the same time, they have jobs as well as we do. They need the financial support. What my concern is, they've done a lot of cuts. Pam was discussing about $800,000 cuts, $100,000 here, $500,000 here. Why weren't these cuts done a long time ago? Instead of now, when the time came, when it was projected, it's been around that, the state's losing money. We're losing money everywhere. I really don't feel that we need to cut individuals' jobs. I mean, if Mr. Bentley knew 2 months ago, it would have been nice to have these people know. That way they can start making some adjustments, maybe looking for different income. I think that there's a lot of the employees' concerns fall upon deaf ears. There's been many concerns about EMS that I've gone to our attorney that represents the hospital or works for the hospital on concerns about getting our bills paid for the hospital for EMS. They said the way we write our reports is the reason why a lot of the monies aren't being paid by Medicare or Medicaid. I asked them, can you please come down and give us some type of education to let us know how we need to properly document, not falsifying any documents by any means, but at least help us understand what is required, because Medicare and Medicaid laws change all the time. I've sent several emails. I have received nothing back yet of that. Barbara Gruber works with us really close, and I think we've had the most feedback from her. She's done really good with us, and I think because of that, we've actually improved our cost recovery. EMS, we're getting ready to get a cut ourselves. They're talking about cutting our Bear truck, which provides 911 calls for 12 hours. I know we have to get a cut. We're going to get to where our shift changes are going to be around we've had so many schedule changes, so many, and we're looking at going to 8 and 12-hour shifts. The problem I see with this is that we have as far as in the EMS department, we have so many transfers that go out. On an average day, we have anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 transfers in a day going out of town, whether it be Albuquerque, Tucson, Cruces, El Paso. We've really stepped up with that. Before, we had to turn some down because we didn't have the staff. If they cut our staff with EMS, that's going to make it to where it's going to cost overtime even more. I know they did all these layoffs or these cuts. Some of them are tech positions, and just recently, on numerous occasions, we have nurses that make, I don't know what a nurse makes, they probably know better than I do, but as a figure of $25 an hour doing tech positions at overtime rate. Just recently, we had a monitor clerk, or a ward, I guess you would call a monitor tech, in the emergency room that was making around $45 an hour when there was a tech that they actually laid off, could have filled those positions. So are we really saving money by cutting these people back? I think what happened is we have a boat that has a hole in it. Instead of trying to fix the hole, we're throwing people overboard, okay? And like they were mentioning before, it's not just a little bit of a cut. Like, I'd be willing to take a 5% cut pay, I'm sure as everybody else would, to try to save the jobs of everybody so we could pull together as a community and as the staff at Gila Regional. I'm not sure what the legalities on that are, but going and cutting these individuals, I know 2 individuals that, one, he's hospitalized, he hurt himself, his wife got his hours cut in half. They have a son going to college, and they have a home mortgage like anybody else. So at least if they, not to say if they would have at least laid them off, they would at least still have some type of benefits, whether it be insurance or whether it be some type of assistance such as unemployment. But giving them half, that's not just saying, okay, well, we're going to take like it was mentioned in an article, we're not just make it to where you can't go to the movies this week or, go out to a theater and watch a show. It's like, okay, well, guess what? Now you're not going to have a car to drive because we're going to repossess it, and you're not going to have a home to live in because you can't afford to do with what you have. Jobs are scarce in Grant County, and we have 70 people now. There's going to be a lot more to come. And I know we're in a financial hardship. We just got to do the best that we can. A lot of times the hospital in the past has spent thousands of dollars, and I don't know exact amounts, but $20,000 I heard at one time for an evaluation for the opinions of the hospital and the what was it called? Just say it was the anybody help? Patient satisfaction. $20,000 or so or greater. I might be wrong on the amount. When all it would have taken, it would have cost nothing for some of these administrators, directors to go to the individual departments and say, what are we doing right or what are we doing wrong? That wouldn't cost the hospital any money, just a little bit of time. And then it makes the staff morale go up. Right now, the morale at the hospital is very low, even in the EMS department. Does that transfer over to patient care? Unfortunately, sometimes it does. Okay, you can only walk around with so many thorns in you before you start expressing that you're hurting. Okay, so as far as supporting, do I think that we need to terminate the staff? No, but I think that we need to actually go in and look at it and say, okay, what did we go wrong? And if there's people that are accountable for what happened, then they need to have repercussions. I know if I did something wrong, I would definitely be disciplined. And so I'm asking the commissioners to review it, not necessarily asking them to fire them or terminate them, but try to come out with some type of revisement or plan so that we can all, as a team, be a continuing, support to the community through our services. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Joe Kellerman. I am public relations for the hospital. And as of May 19th, I will be 50% off. This is a hardship. My wife currently is looking for work, and that's a good thing because I will be at half pay. And once you take all the benefits out of that, there's not a whole lot left to pay your house, your mortgage, and then also keep your lights on. The situation put forward was if I could get a job. My other co-worker, who also got cut 50%, could then get their full-time job back. That applies pressure, unneeded pressure to our department. I don't think that's fair. Some departments work better than others. Ours is a family. We are social together, and the one thing we don't want is to be put in a situation where, hey, did you get a job? Did you get a job? Are you going to quit? What's your situation? I don't want to put that pressure on my coworker. I'm not going to. At the same point, she's not going to do that to me. But neither one of us can survive on half pay. The other thing is, with the benefits taken out of the paycheck, it makes that fee, or that fee that comes out of your pay, that your take-home, is very little. So if I were to resign voluntarily, I could not go to unemployment and say, I need to get unemployment benefits. Oh, you quit? You can't do that unless you have a very good reason, and then it's not instant. Then you got to go through an investigation and make sure everything is true and up to date. So it could be a month or two without pay. The bank doesn't want to hear that. The electric company doesn't want to hear that. I can't pay you this month. And this is just me. There are 69 others that are going through the same situation. Some may have dual incomes, which they're lucky. Some may be single moms, and this is all they have. This is not a good decision. I was told yesterday at the town hall that all options have been considered. And then I asked about the employees' ideas, the ideas that were submitted by the employees, and I was told it went to a committee, but that committee has not met. So if that committee has not met and discussed and submitted their information to the board and to the current admin, not all options have been considered. There may be an idea that could solve this, or at least buy us some time to start thinking outside the box. Mr. Bentley, Brian said healthcare is changing forever, and I don't doubt that. So we need to start also changing our approaches, how we are going to bring in revenue, hospital districts, things that are not dependent on who came through our door and who got a surgery and who didn't. This is the only way we're going to save our hospital, not through cutting people's jobs, not through focusing on 10% of a organization to bear the burden. And that burden falls on your $20,000 to $30,000 and up group, not the $100,000 to $200,000 group. They said that they would take a day off a month to sacrifice for these cuts. That's not realistic. That's not even. I'm taking 5 days off every pay period, starting the 19th. That day off a month is a vacation. That's a long weekend. So I don't have confidence in the current admin because they have not looked out for my well-being as I trusted them to do. And I support your decision in this to not have faith in them either. Thank you.
Thank you. State your name for the record.
Commissioners, I hope there's a category for neither way. If so, I'll be the first one. I sent the three of you gentlemen an email. I know Chairman Caston got his because he acknowledged it. My concern in this whole issue is that you have appointed a hospital board, in my opinion, to do the very kind of work that has been discussed here today. And my encouragement would be for you to allow them, empower them, encourage them to do what is needed. And so my encouragement is for you to table this issue and let the board do their work. If you want to be involved, my encouragement is to be involved with your board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we're lining up. Ms. Bell.
I am Cecilia Bell. I am also neither pro nor against, but I know that each one of us here could have an accident, could have a heart attack within the next 10 minutes, and need the best care that we could get from that hospital. I've been involved with the hospital for 40-some years. It has been a family, and it needs to be continued as a family of care to this community. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Bell, it's okay if you clap for her.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Howie Morales, and I come to you thanking you, first of all, for the opportunity to be able to have open dialogue on an issue that's really important to our community. It's unfortunate that at times like this, that issues like this can divide a community. My hopes is through open dialogue and discussion and transparency that we can have a community that can heal and can move forward, because the ultimate result is we got to continue to ensure that we have a hospital, which I believe is the heart and soul of Grant County, to ensure that we have the best possible care for our patients. I wasn't going to speak originally. I know that there's been many discussions on all sides. I haven't been here all meeting to be able to hear what those discussions have been. But I do have the unique situation of being an employee at the hospital, part of the management team, and also to be responsible as an oath of office that I took to ensure that I'm doing the best I can to protect my community, to protect my constituents, caregivers, and ensuring that we're going to have the best possible results. And so I come here today in defense of our community and our caregivers, because I've had the opportunity to sit in many meetings. I've heard many of the stories that have gone on and a lot of the inconsistencies that continually happen. I've stayed quiet most of that time until I knew that there was going to be caregivers that were impacted, that had no idea that this was about to come. And all too often we see in our society that whenever there's a financial crisis, those individuals who had nothing to do with those finances, getting into that situation, are the ones that are first cut. And because of that, I have to stand in defense of our caregivers, because they did not know this was going to happen. This was done very secretively. I, as an admin team member, did not know. And I know that I come in, and an open dialogue that we have, I was one of the persons that was cut and affected, and I'm okay with that, and willing to stay at that level. I was also asked not to attend any more of the admin team meetings because of my open dialogue and my questioning. That's not the type of community that we want to have. And because of that, I do have the experience of going through the worst recession in the state history, dealing with a $6 billion budget and having to make difficult decisions. And I saw many of the mistakes that were made at the state level. And I've tried to warn and say, we can't go down that same path. If we make those same mistakes, it's going to take us very long to recover. And we see that right now, whether you go to motor vehicles, income support division, human service division, the customer service is not there. Because the first people that were cut are the people that did not have any say in what the finances were like. And so I come here asking that we don't make the same mistake here at the local level. And this is not a result of an overnight issue. This has been ongoing for 5 years. The data shows and the trends show that this has been happening. And each time that you go through and you look at the data points and you see that there's a trend from expenses and revenues coming in, you've got to change those patterns of behavior. There's got to be changes that occur. And there wasn't these changes that occurred. And so I saw as we continue to go through, and no change of behaviors, we should have seen the warning signs when the federal government had a cut, when the state government had a cut. You had to know that this was going to be coming in. But there was no change in behaviors within Gila Regional Medical Center. As we continue to have those discussions, as a state legislator, I questioned about 3 weeks ago, why are we not being notified? Why are we kept in the dark? And the answer was because the Hospital Association and because HSD is saying that we don't want you guys to know about it. That right there immediately is a red flag. When you don't want information to be shared, why not? My responsibility is to ensure that the state of New Mexico has a balanced budget. And in that balanced budget that we can best protect the people that I represent. And when that happened and questions were done, the answer that came out was that the Human Service Department, which I have to mention that this hospital administration has not had any communication with them. But different stories that have been said is that hospitals, the Human Service Department is not speaking to the hospitals, nor to the Hospital Association. Well, if they're not getting answers, they're not giving answers, that's our responsibility as a legislature to bring them in front of us, because ultimately we do appropriate the funds to their budget. When there was no discussion that actually took place, it concerned me, and was saying that the hospitals are in fear that they have to come in and pay all that money back. That's not the case. If the Human Service Department made the mistake and made the calculation error, then it is the state of New Mexico who's responsible for that, not the hospitals. And so to go through and not give the opportunity to have them be advocated for, I think was something that was done that was a disservice. And because of that, I have to stand in strong support of what you guys are discussing today, because you yourself have had difficult times getting information and getting answers. You should not have to go through and ask for a public request to get information in your county hospital. We need to have a transparent, accountable approach to doing this. The 4 steps to problem solving. What is the problem? What are the causes? What are all the solutions? And what is the best solution? We haven't done that. We understand what some of the problem is. I can't tell you what the whole problem is. We don't know what all the causes are. And we sure don't know what are all the solutions. And before we go through and do what corporate America continually does, is cut the people who have nothing to do with the finances, I think we need to look at all options. And that hasn't been considered. Caregivers will tell you that they're willing to be able to contribute or assist to ensure that we have a family-operated and home hospital here. In addition, you guys approved a bond in December. And on that bond, you guys went through, there's a $10 million bond that was done. At that time, finances were supposedly solid. finances are supposedly really well, even though the 5-year trend showed that it wasn't that the case. So there's some concerns that were there, but we've been paying $25,000 a month on those bonds. If we have a housekeeper who makes a $25,000 mistake, or a maintenance worker who makes a mistake like that, they're going to be gone. Yet, I have not seen any accountability from this senior administration to saying, we understand we made some mistakes. We understand that there's problems that we have to deal with. We understand that there's other ways that we can do this. We haven't seen that. All we've seen is it's this fault, this fault, this fault, different areas. I'm asking for accountability, transparency, and trust to be able to be developed. I'm not sure we can get back to that point, because when you tell people out of the blue that they're going to be cut 50%, it's very difficult to have that trust right there. I know that I'm probably out of time, but I do appreciate more than anything, this is how democracy should work. Have people talking on both sides of the issues to be able to give the information, and then to be able to know that they're going to be respected afterwards and not be retaliated against. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Orman.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, my name is Sean Orman. Thank you for having this hearing today. I think it's very necessary in the day and time we live in to really vet out a lot of the discussion and the issues that we all face. Some of them self-imposed, some of them have been thrust upon us, and we have to figure out how we can all come together and find solutions. So I think this is it's a good open forum, and I'm glad that I was able to attend today. A lot of times my schedule doesn't allow me to come, and I get to watch it afterwards on the television, and so I just yeah. And the second thing I want to say is that I really didn't want to come up after Senator Morales, because he's always very difficult to follow. It just seems like he does such a great job, but a lot of things that have been said here today, I think everybody's maybe coming at this from a different angle, and I'll take Mr. Staley's position of saying I'm not coming up for or against necessarily. I did, as I was listening to some of the comments that were made, that the hospital is currently out of debt. I would, if I heard that right, and I don't know if I understood that right, but I would challenge that, because as I look at my securities holdings for First New Mexico Bank, I see that I have a securities holding for a sizable chunk of money that was done years ago on a revenue bond to the hospital, and I believe those revenues from the hospital are to pay that back. So that's coming up for maturity in 2014. So, excuse me?
An escrow account.
Well, yeah, there may be an escrow account, but I think, again, what I want to make sure that happens here today is that everybody, as Senator Morales pointed out, you come to the table with all the information, everybody in full disclosure, you put all the issues on the table, put all the potential solutions on the table. We're going to have to do that for a lot of things, not just the hospital. And I can appreciate the trouble that they're facing. I'm in a business that is facing a lot of issues itself. We've had to make adjustments over the last number of years because of the massive amounts of regulation that have come our way, that have increased our cost of doing business, that have increased our cost of the use of our personnel for matters that really aren't serving the public. It's serving the government. And quite honestly, I think there's a real problem there, that the tail now wags the dog, in my opinion. That we need to, as the public, stand up and say, let's start talking about where these problems some of these problems are flowing from. Sometimes we keep saying, well, let them do this, it's for the public good, until it gets to the point to where it's not for your good, and then you get upset. But as long as it's for somebody else's good, as they say it is, you're not standing up to say, but what happens with the unintended consequences to me? So, again, I thank you for allowing me to stand up here, and I appreciate that comment that there is an escrow fund for those dollars, but again, you need to understand, your board, who you've appointed, needs to fully understand all the issues in front of them today. I wasn't planning on talking on this issue today anyway, but... Yes.
Has that bond been downrated?
That bond is currently rated as a BBB. When it goes to BB, it will be considered junk bond status. And I'm not telling you anything you can't find out. That's a public record out there. With the current events, I can't imagine that the bond rating agencies will not say this goes to BB or less. In one of our banks, when our First Mexico Bank in Silver City stepped up and bought a piece of that bond, we did it with a sense of pride, and we did it with a sense of knowing that, it is a revenue bond, but it is for our community here. We want to be a part of our community, and I think that's important for community banks to be vested in their community. But, it comes down to, I will have to deal with the consequences of that. When your bonds are downgraded, you have regulators are going to come into your institution and go, what are you doing about that? You're going to have to put up capital against the potential losses that may ensue from being a downgraded bond that I can no longer use for when you find folks come to borrow money from me, that I can't use that against my loan portfolio. So, again, it has a ripple effect. It ripples all the way down to everybody in the community. It affects everybody whether you think it does or not. So I encourage both sides, come together, find the solutions, discuss all the options, and come to a conclusion. Come to something that will work. There is a solution in there. It's just maybe a little more difficult to vet them out today than it was back before there was so many influences coming from so many directions. But I'm confident that you can do it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hello. I would request a stool. I could care less about the sound system, but a stool would be nice. No, I'm kidding. I'm coming up here not to say that I am for or against your signing of this, but I was informed a while back that submissions would be accepted for caregivers to voluntarily decrease their hours, and I know that that did not happen. However, a few people within the department that I work for, in the accounting department, did voluntarily cut their hours, and I think that should have gone out hospital-wide.
You did say something.
No, I probably didn't. Well, it's Elizabeth Nations.
Okay.
Sorry. But I think that should have gone out hospital-wide, because I know caregivers, it's a family at the hospital, and nobody wants to see anybody else lose their job or have their hours cut or anything like that. So if it was a voluntary thing, more people would have done it, and it would have saved a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Misty Manelis. I am currently an employee at the hospital, and I was really discouraged to speak out for many reasons, and was specifically told that anybody that does will be fired. And I think that that's bully mentality, and that's coming from the administration. Now, whether or not that they've created the problems that we're having financially or not, it's clear that we're in a bind. We have too many employees. So Mr. Kellerman was correct in saying that they just put employee against employee. Who's going to quit first? Who's going to quit first? And those that have 20 hours a week can't survive. They don't qualify for unemployment. They're forced to pay their health insurance through December because they can't get out of the plan. So if you're cut half-time, I mean, these people would have been better off if you just tore off the Band-Aid, just let them go, and at least they could get some benefits, look for a full-time job. Nobody's going to hire you for 20 hours when you're trying to work 20 hours somewhere else, and, it's chaotic. People have busy lives, and I just think there was no input from the caregivers. There was no, suggestions. My department personally wanted to go in and kind of reduce hours to absorb from losing 2 of our employees, but it was never even considered. It was told absolutely not. And again, there was no warning. There's been 3 years that I know of, I've been part of a group, a committee that approves hires and fires and purchases, and it's been so willy-nilly, and for them all of a sudden to take it out on the caregivers that have been there the shortest amount of time, I've still yet to hear any suggestions on how administrators and directors included will help to save. I mean, they make money, and, it's a salary, and I get it, but one day a month, that's not going to help any. So I haven't heard any suggestions on how the top administrators and all the directors included can take a pay cut to contribute to helping to try to save people's jobs. Now, again, there's no doubt we have too many employees. I mean, it's just been the hiring practice, and the reasoning behind those kinds of things from Mr. Bentley yesterday, we said because we could afford it then. Well, we can't afford it now, and we couldn't afford it 3 years ago. It's been obvious. So I would like not necessarily to say that I think the administration should go or stay, but I guarantee you, if I made these mistakes daily in my jobs, I would have been fired outright many, many years ago. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. You just can't miss an opportunity, can you?
Joe Shepard, president of Western New Mexico University, and there's a microphone here. No, I can't miss an opportunity. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the administration or the caregivers. I'm here to speak on behalf of our community. I'm here to speak on behalf of Western New Mexico University. I came to this region, I came to this town 2 years ago. And one of the reasons, obviously, that I came was the presidency at Western. But I don't think I would have moved my family here if we did not have good health care. And so this hospital is as dear to me as my own institution. And so what I want to speak about is how you go about your future, because you can't build a hut for last summer's rain. And people are watching, not only internally, but externally. Whether it's a bond agency or whether it's my future faculty members who are thinking of making their home here, they want to make sure we have a viable hospital. And so what I would like to do is I'd like to pledge to you the support of our university. If that means we sit down with administration and figure out ways we can have joint appointments of nurses where 50% is there and 50% is working for us, if that means we have to figure out how we might use our scientists in your labs and so forth, I don't know if those are possibilities, but I know it's my problem as well as it is anybody else's. And I'm here to step up to the plate as the leader in this community and pledge my support to whatever I can do to benefit this community and its health care. Because without it, I will tell you right now, Silver City will dearly suffer. Thank you.
Thank you. So, seeing no other people up here, we're going to go ahead and close the public comment period, and we'll start with the commissioners and other electeds if they have anything to say. Mr. Commissioner?
I do appreciate people who had courage on both sides to come up, and the neutrals, to come up and speak. You know, being open is really important. It's our system. And it helps me as a commissioner to make decisions about being open. The letters I receive, the emails I receive, that helps too. But the courage it takes to come up there and step in front of that mic and speak is big time, as far as I'm concerned. The administration, they talked about communication, openness, that they have a problem, and that they're trying to address that problem. Others talked about the lack of communication. I know this administration, and talking to John, we've tried to open up communication with the hospital top administration. We haven't had much luck. I've had its and bitses of communication from your CEO. Other than that, none. Zero. Caregivers, a whole bunch. What was interesting about the information I received from the CEO was that numbers and facts continue to change, just like the caregivers said. And then I read articles in the paper, which they can be misquotes and such. Those things changed. Transparency is very important to me. Transparency, we've got to be working from the same page. I wasn't invited to go to the board meeting. I went. It would have been nice if, in fact, we would have been invited or even introduced. We weren't. I wrote down something here that kind of summed it up for me as far as what I've read in the papers, what I've heard from individuals, and in meeting with your CEO of the hospital. It's better to maintain the dam than to try to stop the flood after the dam has broke. That's what I'm seeing now from the administration. Several people talked about in the past, for several months, I know even before I was commissioner, I sat down here and I listened to the administration of the hospitals, the administrators, the top, talk about a remodel and how well the hospital was doing. This is late 2012. And how well the hospital was doing and how we needed to remodel. Well, I know how it is with me. If in fact I'm lacking in funds, I'm staring at someone taking my house or my car, I don't run over to my wife and say, you know what, honey, it's a good time to remodel. That is not good business. Do I want to work with the hospital? Absolutely. I haven't had many cases to visit the hospital, well, for myself, thank God. But the one time I did, highly impressed. The caregiving was excellent. My wife, excellent. My friends, excellent. So now we come to the finances. I want there to be communication. I agree with those who talked about, let's come together as a community and work on this together. Communication is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. And when you go to that table, you come together with facts and a good heart. Because if you don't, sooner or later, you're going to be found out. So, what do? We tried to tell the administration. I'm sure the other commissioner did the same thing I did. We went to John and said, John, you need to address the administration about contracts. Do we have contracts on these individuals, the top administration? Do we have salaries? Get whatever you can so we will know what the true facts are so we can communicate. Because we hadn't had much luck yet. He was met at the door saying, you know the drill, John. Information, as far as the statute is concerned, follow it. And John's representing the county commission, the county, who owns the hospital. We don't have any problem doing that. But then it didn't come in timely. We stuck out our hand to communicate, and we were slapped. And I still want to, because, I've said this so many times. I'm sorry, Dr. Shepard, but to me, the most important institution in the southwestern New Mexico is our hospital. People have pulled up roots all over this country and world, doctors and patients, or future patients, to come here because they wanted a good hospital if they was going to live here. And they came here with the expectation we did. And the care is outstanding. Thank God to our caregivers. And it just breaks my heart to think that now we've got it up on the public, in front of this commission, addressing the goods and the bads. It bothers me. I don't know how else to get the administration's attention than to tell you I wanted to have confidence in you. I really did. And the few that I talked to, I told you that. And I opened up my mind and my heart when you talked to me, to come to find out the next day you were changing your story. So the only way I know to do is to say to the community and to the board, I do not have any confidence in the top administration of Gila Regional. That's not against everyone. It's not against the hospital. I want you to change. I want you to communicate. I want you to open up your books. Let's figure this out together. I don't want you fired. I don't have much confidence in you now. But I want to work with you. But right now, in my heart, in my mind, I do not have confidence in you. And I've got to say that because that's the reason I was elected. To speak my mind and to follow what I think is right. Thank you.
Commissioner. Well, saddened to say that I'm very disappointed
As we hear from our constituents, it's very sad to hear that they're losing half their pay. It's very sad to hear from people that we know take care of our families when we go to the hospital. And we know that their focus is in taking care of our people. And when they come out and let you know that they were cut 50% of their salary and 50% of their time, it really makes you sad. In December, we did hear from upper management on the bond issues. I was very saddened afterwards when we hear about this situation that information that we got from you all was very bad. I also come to find out that there's been at least 27 months where we've been receiving less income than what we're spending. And that really saddens me, because whenever we make our decisions, we are banking that you're being very honest with us, and that we know that we're going to get out of any type of loans or monies that we borrow that we borrow for our community. So we all depend on good information. Another area where we got bad information where bad information was given is the board that we appoint runs a hospital for us, for the county. And when we approached many of these individuals, they didn't have the slightest idea of what was going on. And I know I've served in many, many boards, and I make a lot of important decisions. So I'm depending on the person under me to give me valid information. And when you don't have that valid information, you definitely have no confidence in that institution or the people that are giving it to you. You know, it's very disappointing. We know that many people go out and they get highly educated and they know what's going on. We are all banking to get good information. And again, it's very saddening to know that we're getting bad. Many views have been ignored, but the most important view to me is keeping our people working, keeping that hospital going to continue to produce and help the people of Grant County. The atmosphere there, since when I worked there back in 92, 93, has always been a great atmosphere. When I left there, I was saddened. I was saddened to leave there, unfortunately, or fortunately, I was able to move up and do other things in my life. But there's a really good attitude of the people there, ever since way back when. And a lot of you are still there. And that just says a lot about the institution. Again, I'm saddened to see what is going on. I'm saddened to see that bad information has been given not only to the board, but to the county commission. And right now, I am not confident in our management.
Thank you, sir. Did you have something, Randy? Oh, I thought you were.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioner. I just wanted to say that, you know, as an elected official and a leader of this community as well, I think it's important that when you look at people that move to a community, number one, they look at the hospital and the health care they're going to receive. And number two is the university, as Dr. Shepard was saying. And I think our young people who get educated, whether it be at the nursing school at Western New Mexico, are looking to stay put here in this community. And I think that when you talk about transparency, you're talking about transparency not only to the workers, but to the community that you serve. And I think it's important that if anything comes out of this meeting, it's that lesson right there. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start off by thanking everybody for coming. It was wonderful is not the word, but it's very important that everybody gets an opportunity to state their side. It was a great forum. I learned things I didn't know. I really appreciate everybody coming. The next thing I want to say is this letter in no way whatsoever asks the Board of Trustees to let go anybody, the senior management team or anybody else. That is not what it says. I could read it again, but I had Randy read it earlier. You can all have copies of it because this is a public body. We are doing this in the open. I was out of town when I first heard about these issues. And the first thing I did is I asked John to get with the hospital and get a meeting with them and to invite our legislators. And I know that Senator Morales, Representative Martinez, and Representative Hamilton were all invited, along with myself and the manager, John Sari. And we spent a couple hours going over this situation. I had the opportunity to be on this Board of Trustees of the hospital about 10 years ago. And a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things haven't changed in the county. So I got to ask a lot of questions. I left there with more questions than answers. So the very next hospital board meeting, we all attended. You would have thought that we were a ghost when we walked in the room. It was not a pleasant place to be. I feel as though that they were not innovative whatsoever in their decisions. I feel as though they think they're running some type of private institution, which they are a public institution. I also feel as though when the County Board of Commissioners asks for information from the hospital, they should say the courier will be over in a few minutes, not get a Freedom of Information Act. So therefore, I too will vote no confidence. So at this time, there is a motion and a second on the floor to vote no confidence for the Gila Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. At this time, we will take a short break. Call back to order the Board of County Commissioners, May 9th, 2013. The next item on the agenda is resolutions. Item N, approve or disapprove resolution number R1330, notice of intent to consider an ordinance relating to the gross receipts tax for the quality of life bonds. John, can you go over exactly what we're doing with that today?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'll turn it on in case. For some time now, we've been looking at the processes. We've lost the movie theaters. We've lost the swimming pool at Western New Mexico University. We've had constituents call and say these are really things that they liked about the area. They used them. And wanted something to be done to help replace them. I know through the legislative session, the president of the university tried to get money to fix the swimming pool, and there's just not money at the state level that's being appropriated to those types of things. So as we looked forward, we looked at options to do different projects. One of the options we looked at was a quality of life tax. A quality of life tax is different than what we're doing here. What a quality of life tax does is it can be used for projects that are deemed quality of life. The definition of it is very small. It's hard to put these types of projects or put a lot of types of projects in there. It's really hard. So in talking with our bond counsel that we usually use, Mr. Bendixson, we came up with, there's a tax, it's the gross receipts tax for capital infrastructure projects that can be used to go out for a bond to do projects that we deem as quality of life, that we feel brings better quality of life to the residents of Grant County. So today what this does, this resolution, it starts that process. It's not approving a tax, it's not the final step in the process. All this does is open up the process. It opens up to where there will now be a comment period where an ordinance that will be entertained by the commission to look at this gross receipts tax of 0.25% can be commented on by the public on the June 13th meeting. June 13th meeting, we will have a public hearing to talk about that before it comes in front of the commission and ordinance. And then what the ordinance does is the ordinance will start the process of an election that will be run by the clerk's office, similar to what we did with the central dispatch, the emergency gross receipts tax for the emergency services, to where residents will have a say-so to vote whether or not they wish to have this 0.25% tax put in place to go forward. If the 0.25% tax is approved, then at that point in time, then the commission will take the revenues that would be generated from that tax and look at doing a bond. That would be, what we've looked at is a 0.25% tax would be able to bond $10 million. Then we would have $10 million to do projects such as swimming pools, such as a movie theater. We've had people come talk to us about recreation center for children in the community. Those types of projects will be able to be done. The tax doesn't list specific projects because you don't want to shrink yourself down where it can only be used for certain things. So as you go through the process, if something rises to the top, you can change the project. They're not set in stone. And so that's where we're at in this process, and that's what we're bringing in front of the commission today, is just the resolution to start down that road to see if this is something the citizens want when they go for the vote.
Thank you, John. So can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution R-1330.
I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve R-1330. Is there any discussion on that motion? If there's anybody that would like to talk against this, please come forward now. Come on.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Gordon West. I'm a business owner in Grant County, and I'm also the president of the Green Chamber of Commerce. I'm not exactly here to speak against this, just to offer up a little bit more information about what I would consider to be a better process. There's a lot of people who have been working on economic development for a long time around here. There's a lot of economic development plans, some of them very recent. A lot of them relate to these kinds of amenities. I think I would like to say first, I've looked at those plans. I've participated in most of them. None of the things that you had on the list of the presentation before happen to be in those plans. I would like to make the point up front that, as someone who's spent a lot of time, and I know a lot of other people have spent time on these, that it feels like all of our work is being marginalized, and it's a little bit alienating and creates a feeling of divisiveness. And I appreciate from the last discussion, I almost feel like this is small potatoes compared to what's going on with the hospital. But the idea of openness and working together, I think is a very good one. That to not take into account all of the planning and effort that people have done over the past 10 or 15 years even, I think you need to be very deliberate about doing that, not just coming up with something, getting people giving phone calls and saying, I would like you to consider this. We really need to get an economic development analysis team together. And I mentioned this at the last meeting. One of the things that is in the Grant County Economic Development Plan, the recent one by Angelo Economics, an important point was to try to work more with the university, use university resources, integrate the university more into the community. Dr. Shepard has indicated that's his interest as well. I think this is an excellent opportunity to do that. It could actually be a little bit groundbreaking because, in my experience, most public decisions, all the way up to the federal level, probably at the global level, are not being made with good information, especially in terms of economics. What are the true economic effects of things? One example I'd like to give is the gentleman who said that he was being cut to 50%, and he explained fairly graphically that isn't really going to work for him. He might as well have been fired. But it's very serious repercussions for him. But if you can follow these different economic effects vectors, one of which would be if he loses his home, it'll be repossessed by a mortgage company. All of his capital outlay, his equity will be gone, which was actually equity in our community. In times where housing doesn't move very well, that house will probably sit on the market It will be sold at less value. That lowers property values, which means one of the sources of revenue for the county, property tax, will also decrease. And we could probably track 10 vectors like that, just off of that man losing his job or being cut back to 50%. And as I mentioned before, this kind of analysis isn't really being done in decision-making anywhere that I've seen. Certainly isn't at the federal level. I actually think we could do some groundbreaking work in collaboration with the university and the business school and all of the people who spend so much time locally on economic development issues. I think we could kind of create a methodology for making better decisions so that we could analyze one project against another, not just for its direct economic return, but the aggregated other benefits. And that's one thing governments can do that private businesses can't really private businesses can look at the triple bottom line, environment, economy, and social effects. But because the mass isn't there, it's really hard to make decisions on anything other than economic return. But that's what governments do. Collectively, we can look at projects that have non-monetized, non-direct monetized benefits that we know will produce a return down the road. And we can decide to make investments in those kinds of things. And I would like to see whatever projects come on the table, and I'd be willing to put a few on the table. I'd like to see them carefully analyzed, develop this capacity within our community and the university, and so that we can make better decisions. Thanks.
Thank you. You can just give them to Randy. Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else that would like to speak against this? Okay, anybody like to speak for it?
My name is Sean Ormond. I'm a local banker, which is a local business. It's not part of a big chain of banks, not nationally funded. It's pretty much funded by shareholders in a pretty close little area around Grant County, Boone County. So we truly are a small business. I think that's good to make that distinction. And one of the things that brought me back to Silver City, not only the fact that my family was here, but I really wanted to become a part of this community in the form of being involved with economic development. I started 10 years ago. I think I got onto the old original secret board back in 2004, I think it was, and have been a part of many boards since then, and even at the state. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of a board that was put together as a statute called the New Mexico Partnership. And when it comes to economic development, and I realize that you classify this bond as a quality of life. And sometimes we go, well, that's not economic development. But quite honestly, we've hashed this out in the local communities, in the rural communities throughout New Mexico that, look, you may not get Intel to come into your community. It's great to have a business that produces something in your community with local labor, with a payroll that is really paid for by selling that product outside of your community, because that dollar that comes in, pretty much a new dollar. You wouldn't have had it. There's been studies that it rolls around after it comes in as a new dollar between 4 and 7 times, maybe even more. Depends on, all the other, there's other factors that go into that. And I'm not an expert on any of this, and I don't purport myself to be, but what I get right down to is, why would I come to Silver City? Now, I know I've talked to a lot of folks. I'm in a business that allows me the opportunity to have met tons of new people that have come here over the last 10 years. They came for a myriad of reasons. Some came for employment. Some of them came to work at the Gila Regional Medical Center, so it's important that we keep that going. Some came for the university. Some came for the mines. Now, making that distinction, the mines actually create those dollars that are truly fall probably under that economic job basis, to where they create a product, we pull it out of the ground here, we sell it somewhere else. We don't use that much copper here in Grant County, so It brings new dollars in. But, you know, as you watch the community, I graduated from high school here. I was born and raised here. I was on that bare spot on the hill up there that used to be the hospital that we used to have, the old one. I was born and raised in this community and enjoyed the amenities of this community. I've slowly watched those amenities they're slipping away from us, guys. And again, I don't get to watch movies much, but I have kids that do, and just the thought of losing your movie theater in town. What's next? You know, as towns are struggling to keep themselves relevant in the rural world, we need to make sure that we make some decisions, and I appreciate Mr. West's input of saying, look, we have other things that we've been talking about for a number of years that we'd like considered, and to have that part of the process, and I agree with that. But let's not talk it to death, guys. One of the things that vividly stuck in my mind after the presentation was made, I think it just a few short weeks back of these proposed projects, was that I went to an economic development meeting as economic development. It was at the university. The university hosted it. It was part of the Small Business Development Center in Seagrad at the time. And we brought in a high-end developer guy that had helped with plans all across the nation, and we started going through the process. And boy, he stuck up stickies all over the wall. Here's what you want to do. Here's the progress that you want to make. Here's what you want to do. Well, he knew enough to say, I'm going to challenge you that if you don't change your direction and, you know, start forward with something, I'll come back in 10 years, and every one of those stickies will still be the things that you want to do, but you'll have done none of them. Well, here it is 10 years later, and quite honestly, guys, we really haven't done, I'm not trying to chastise anybody, I'm just trying to throw out the truth, so don't have me arrested by the sergeant at arms here. That we need to go forward, and I don't know that these are all the right projects. You know, I'm not a very good swimmer. Lord knows I can't play baseball. Yeah, for those of you that know me, I'm not a real athletic kind of guy, but I do look at the quality of life in Silver City is diminishing, and we're moving into kind of irrelevancy, folks. And so to move forward with a 25, 0.025, I think is what it comes out to, right? To move forward with saying, look, voters, do you want to do this or not? I think we need to kind of have a referendum on our future by our voters, and I support putting this up. There's many other projects that we need to work through as well. What I really am aiming at, for me as a banker, for me as an individual, I want a place for my kids to come back here and live, work, make a living. I want your kids to. I want all the people that are in my care, and I consider it a privilege and honor to have those people working for me. I want their kids to be able to stay right here if they so choose, and I want them to have those amenities where they're not popping in the car every weekend and driving down to Las Cruces or wherever to go do what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, guys, we have to make some tough decisions about saying, how do we get more people to come into our community with private capital and invest it? And I can tell you, it's not real attractive sometimes to try to sell your community if they come in and they start going, it's got a closed sign over there. You know, you look up and down Main Street, all these businesses are closed. You know, they're just boarded up. There's, you know, they don't know whether that's something that's a telltale that if I come and I put my private investment up, my capital, everything that I've saved, that it won't somewhere down the line be diminished as well. So I think we really have to portray a community that's going, all right, enough is enough. We're going forward. So I support going forward with this. I'm not again going to say that I'm a big advocate of everything in there, but I think each and every one of those I've heard from our community members say, we need this. We want that aspect of it. We want this one. So let's all get together and support this package. Go forward, and we'll then work on the next package with the next group of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So it's Banker Day, all right.
Hi, my name's Mike Trujillo, and it's hard to follow a banker, but I guess I have to, but I am on the Healy Economic Development Board. Been on there probably since its predecessor at Seagrid, probably since 1980 something. And I think Sean is correct. You know, we've been pretty stagnant. It's very difficult to grab your arms around economic development. But I think this is one of the few things that I think will help in that direction. I would encourage the commissioners to approve it. I think that it's good for the children of our community. I know that Dr. Shepard is looking for the swimming pool to do a swim team. And I think that the community uses that swimming pool. I think he has gotten more complaints about the lack of that swimming pool than anything else since he's been here. So please, I would encourage your favorable consideration of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg Shaver. I'm the CEO at Chino Federal Credit Union, and my wife and I own the HIP store downtown. And we came here in July, and all I want to say is I got to be in Deming at 1, so I'm going to make this quick. But I think this is a great idea, and I've seen a lot of ideas come through here, but I think with Dr. Shepard's input and vision, I think this is incredible. And I'm probably the biggest anti-tax guy you're ever going to meet. Coming from Ruidoso, I can tell you the tax rate in Ruidoso is a full percentage point higher than it is here. And so for me, a quarter point is bearable for everybody involved. And I want to see downtown prosper, obviously, because I have a business there. But at the same time, I've heard people say, well, we need to save this historic theater or something, or I'm not going to be on board with this. And I find that incredibly naive as a business owner to say that, because anything that benefits this community in general is going to benefit downtown. So I'm in favor of it. So I say push forward. It's a great idea. And you let the voters decide. I mean, that's all it's going to be, is let the voters decide, and then you kind of go from there. So I appreciate everybody getting together to put this together, and I think it's a great idea, and I've got to run, so thanks.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Come on up. How are you, gentlemen?
Good afternoon. My name is Jose Ray, and I hope that you guys go forward with this intent of resolution. I know that Western would like to use the baseball field in Fort Baird. If that happens, it would be an ideal location because it would be centrally located in the mining community. Also, the swimming pool, I think everybody will benefit from it. I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you very much. Oh, Jeremiah.
Hello. Yes, sir. Jeremiah Garcia. I do represent the Economic Development Alliance here, and also a business partner here in this community, and I'd like you guys to really consider this. I love what you've done. You've championed as 3 organizations. When you look at the county, the city, and the university. When we talk about collaboration, we talk about open-ended and letting the community know what we want to do. This is a great example of what we're doing, and I think we need to consider this as a model from now on, that anything that happens in Grant County, we need to market it, we need to communicate well with all the constituents you represent, and again, the business partners. It's very important that we're all together on this. As far as that, it was nice to see in the paper the posting of the tax rates around our surrounding areas. It opens your eyes, and it's very important. This minute little percentage is a step forward in a direction towards our vision in the future. It's going to be a long-term investment, but I think our community needs this. Again, I have grandchildren here, and I would love to take my wife out to dinner and go to a movie. And I, again, would like to go out and learn to swim a little bit better, too. Sorry about Sean, but maybe I'll be his lifeguard. But the main thing is, we do support what's happening, and I compliment the 3 organizations working together as a team and bringing it to the public and let them all know we're not fighting individually for dollars. We're coming together, we're collaborating together, and if we can use these dollars to help the mining district, as well as our downtown, our university, and our whole community. It's a win-win. You guys are champions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else today? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Diana Ingles-Leba, and I've had a business downtown for 17 years. And when I first came to visit Silver City, most of downtown was, closed. And so there's been a lot of ebb and flow since I've come. And one thing I'd like to say is, I've been part of some of the plans for downtown, and the theater district is part of that. And I would love to see this included in, this quality of life, or whatever you want to call it, consideration, because it makes a difference in terms of the energy downtown. It has affected the businesses downtown since the theater closed. You can see it, and you can see it, the rhythm of how people are downtown. Anyway, I just want you to consider including some aspect to address the theaters downtown, even if you do it, a multiplex up on the highway.
Thank you very much. I knew you couldn't resist.
I was trying. I was really trying to resist, but anyways, my name's Paul Lee May. Thanks for having this forum. I'm the car guy in town, and I came here 2.5 years ago because it was a challenge. And it's very rarely that I'll turn down a challenge, as long as it sounds like it's going to be fun. And so that's why I'm here. And but I will tell you that I have to commend what we're doing between the city, the county, and the university, because I think it gives us a great opportunity to work together and push something forward and put Silver City on the map. And I also want to mention that, I think we need to make sure that we keep pushing forward, as tough as it may be when it gets to be to those tough times, and when we seem to be infighting as this goes forward, because I think that's going to happen. Because we need to push through it, and we need to pay attention to how we address each other and how we keep moving the ball forward. And the reason I say that is because we've got Joe Shepard at the university, and he's the new guy in town. Well, so am I. I'm the new guy in town as well. And we're watching. We're watching to see how we can work together and do something together, because, I don't know how long Joe's going to be around, but, my plan was to stick around. But if we can't do something to grow the economy, to grow Silver City, maybe there's another challenge for me somewhere else. I don't want to leave, and I'm not planning on leaving, but, I look forward to working together on this and pushing it forward, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I'm Skip Jack, I'm a retired curmudgeon, and also with the Healy EDA. I just want to express my support for this resolution, because I think it can lead to some great things for Grant County in the future. And one of the neat things about a gross receipts tax, my understanding is that a fair percentage is paid by outsiders, visitors, and tourists that come in. So we won't be carrying the whole load. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Anybody else today?
DA, would you like to say something?
I won't turn down.
Oh, no, I should have said that. A little better. That's his fault.
Hi.
Good morning. Well, I'm here really as a citizen in the county. I do support this. I think it's a great idea. We are struggling as a county and as a city, and so I'd love to be able to tell prospective prosecutors that there is a movie theater and a baseball field and a complex here to compete with other jurisdictions, but I think it's in the welfare of the being of all of our citizens to go forward with this. So thank you.
Shortest talk I ever heard him make.
Yeah. So at this time, would any of the other electeds like to say anything? I figured.
I too support this. I think, as everybody has spoken, as far as economics is concerned, I think it's having that collaborative effort between the municipality, the county, and the university. But also, I challenge the municipalities of Santa Clara, Verde, and Hurley as well to jump on board with their council and making sure that they're on board with this as well, because it's going to be a community effort, and it's going to benefit. When you look at the university and you bring a lot of young people in, a lot of them, those parents or those young people come, they're looking for a theater to go. Regardless of what happens and what the projects are, I think Grant County is only going to get better economically, and if we're working together to make these kind of projects happen, I think it only betters the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. As a proud father of 6 children that love to go to the movies, I've been spending a lot of money in Deming, and I think I would rather like to spend it here in our community. They also like to swim, so they keep me pretty active. I think it's not just a positive impact for our children to give them something to do, but I think it'll help out the other kids that have nothing to do. Give them the opportunity to go to a movie here locally and do things, keep our kids out of trouble, the main thing. Give them an opportunity to at least attend something like it used to be. I see a lot of our residents, constituents down in Deming. I would rather see them here spending the money here in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner.
Well, I mean, I'm really excited to hear that we might have baseball back at Western New Mexico University. I know that as a kid, we used to go see the Mustangs play and got to see Tim Bravo and all those other gentlemen just smash that ball and have a good time. And I think that helped out with the love of baseball. But not only for those reasons, but just for the economic impact it could have here in this community is just phenomenal. It's just great that we got together with Western, we got together with Silver City, and we just got to keep that relationship going for a very long time so we can keep progressing. And of course, I do support this project.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Steve had his hand up and I missed him, so I'm going to...
Having been involved in a lot of these economic development plans, I do believe that this is a beginning. It is kind of a giant step in bringing the university into working with the community and the county. And as Assessor Mr. Villa said, challenging the other communities to bring their ideas and their, because it's always been a challenge in developing the economic development plans for the county, that for whatever reason, that they may have felt like they're the stepchild or what have you, and I do challenge them to bring their ideas as well, and let this be the beginning and a continuous, as we continue forward to bring those developments. The fact that Baton Park will be one of the issues that will be addressed is a good deal for them as well. So I do definitely agree that this is a very good idea and it continue.
Thank you very much. Commissioner?
I'll be short.
Okay.
Can you do that?
No. He's only got one page of notes this time.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I support this heavily. I don't go to the movies very often. We don't even watch them at the house. But I think it's important for the community, very important, as far as the theater is concerned. And even more important than these projects is the community working together. That's more important than any project. But then you get icing on the cake on this one. Not only are the communities going to work together, the entities are going to work together, but we're also going to be working together as a community. I really want to see, as the first gentleman was talking about, don't let this be the last one. Because of this, we will start working together, and because of this, we will become a better community and a place where we can keep our kids here. I got 3 kids. None of them live here. I miss them. I'd rather them be here, but there's not much to offer here. And so this is the first step of it. So we got to work together. Thank you. That was pretty short.
Not bad. That's good.
I got another.
That's good. Okay, well, you guys have all heard the story, and baseball at Western, I don't know how you quantitate how much that's going to do for this community in not only quality of life, but also in monetary value. But when you start being able to educate another 20 to 30 kids a year on a baseball team, they're all going to be here, they're all going to be spending money, and we got real baseball, collegiate baseball back in Grant County. I'm going to give you a little scenario, and the sheriff hasn't quite got there yet, but I think he's close, but it's going to resonate with him. I put a 16-year-old girl in a car the other night to go to the movies, to go to Deming. And that, I appreciate the car, Paul, but I wanted to send it back right then. It was not something that really set well with me, but I had to do it. You have to let them spread the wings and go to the movie. It'd have been a lot nicer if it had been here in town. So, without going through each and every other thing that we've talked about, and a lot of you were at the forum the other day, and we're going to talk about this a lot. This is the beginning of an open dialogue. From here on out, we'll have hearings. The hearings will mainly be on the tax, not on the projects. The projects will come after the tax is implemented. So I also am going to vote to approve this resolution. So at this time, seeing no other discussion, all those in favor of approving Resolution R-1330, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is approve or disapprove Resolution Number R-1331, boundary amendments for the volunteer fire departments. I don't think there'll be a lot of opposition to this one. So, is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution R-1331.
I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve R-1331. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Going to request for proposals, approve or disapprove RFP number 1301 for engineering services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We spoke about this on Tuesday. Grant County went out for an RFP for engineering services at our airport. Our agreement we currently had in place is 4 years old, and so by state statute, we have to go out for a new agreement. We had 4 companies respond: WH Pacific, Armstrong Consultants, KSA Engineers, Inc., and Delta Airport Consultants. After the review committee had reviewed the proposals and scored them, WH Pacific came out on top with 556 points. And so at this time, I would like to make a recommendation to the commission that we award the RFP 13-01 for engineering services to WH Pacific.
Okay. Any questions, Manager? I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve RFP number 13-01, engineering services to WH Pacific.
And I would second that.
Motion is second to approve RFP number 1301 to WH Pacific. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We move into county reports. Does anybody have anything they want to add to what they've had to say today? Mr. Treasurer? Is it this?
That's it.
All right.
Report is the 8th of May, the end of business yesterday. We have collected year-to-date $4,855,317. We still have outstanding $829,616, and those are only county funds. Okay? Since the last report of April the 16th, we've collected $831,014. In the last 2 days, we collected $403,728 of that. So I want to commend my staff for the excellent job that they have done and their dedication to it, staying with it. It looks real good that we only have 829,000 outstanding, and that's, of course, again, reiterating county funds. We still have about 1.6 million out countywide, so, and that's all.
All right, thanks a lot. Mr. Sessions?
I just got through with 2 days of evaluation by the state of New Mexico, and impressed by how my staff is doing. And I want to thank them, because without them, I don't think I would have gone through the evaluation the way I did. I think the county assessor's office is in good hands, following all the laws. The state will do the final version of the evaluation and send it to the county manager, and so he gets a copy of that every year. The other thing, I want to apologize there to the chairman for Tuesday for not really giving you your kudos for, being elected to the board, New Mexico Association of Counties. I was able to serve on that board for 5 years, and I want to thank the past and present elected officials for letting me represent them on the Association of Counties. I was also the executive board member for Southwest New Mexico. And so, as you know, Commissioner Ramos sat on that board too when he was the county clerk, so he knows the importance of that board. I know that you and John sat at a lot of meetings 7 a.m. in the morning when you're up at the legislature, and so I think the county, our representation is in good hands. There's a lot of issues from health care to illegal dumping, and I think that by sitting with the lobbying team annually and being a representative for Grand County, I think it holds good for us. So I just want to congratulate you on that. I know I just kind of pushed it aside Tuesday, so congratulations, and I just want to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. John?
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know, we have 2 vacant positions on the Deer Emerson Board of Trustees that we've currently advertised and opened. They're not because of what the commission did today. I want to make that very clear. These are 2 positions that were due to expire
Got a group of people
in June.
Yeah. All excited.
So, they were positions that were up as of June 30th. One is Mr. Leidick's position, which he has resigned, so it's a current open position. And the other one is Mr. Bobby Morales, who is currently a board member. We've sent a letter to Mr. Morales that he's welcome to reapply for his position.
I received the letter stating that he was reapplying.
Okay. But it's also a position that's open to anyone in the public that can apply. The board is consistent of 5 members that are not medical and 2 that are doctors. These are not the doctor positions, although a doctor could apply and the commission could choose to appoint. They just try to keep a division there between the doctors and people that are not in the medical field, so that they've got a good balance on the board. So they are open, and people can submit a letter of interest to be on that board. They can turn it in to my office, to the manager's office. They can give them to Randy. He'll collect them. They can mail it in to the county. They don't have to turn it in person. And there's no special form for it. It's just a letter telling us that you would like to serve and why you would like to serve, and you feel like you would be the best person for that position, is all we ask, so that the commission can make a good decision on who to appoint to that board. So as much information as they can give, the better it is, so that the commission knows why they would be a good member on that. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Yeah, the only thing I have is I'd like to compliment and hoorah the Tour de Gila, Jack Brennan, Michelle Gills, the sponsors, the volunteers, law enforcement, fire departments, and the community. Outstanding job, great success. Thank you very much.
All right, well, I've definitely had an interesting month this month. I've attended some of the fire chief meetings and also the SWACA meeting we had in Luna County. And being a member of SWACA, Southwest County Commissioners Alliance, I was fortunate enough to be invited to a meeting with some ranchers from Catron County. And, it was really something sitting across these people. And what's going on is they've been having some wolf problems. And talking to Ms. Diamond, which is the wife of Mr. John Diamond, is Crystal Runyon Diamond. And they've had some wolf encounters that really were touching, especially because they had children, and I have children. I've put myself in their position, and it was really something. And they sent me an email with the 2 stories of what's been going on with their encounters. And at this time, I would like to ask Randy Hernandez to go ahead and read the first story, and also, actually to read both stories for us. The first one, then, and the second. I know they're not necessarily in that order, but if you can do that for us, I certainly would appreciate it.
This is on Tuesday, 13, 2011. I returned home to Beaver Head after being gone for several days with my 2 young daughters, Caden, age 3, and Reese, age 2. My husband was away from home and scheduled to return on Thursday. On the drive back, I had passed my father-in-law, who informed me that a wolf had been sighted at our Beaver Head headquarters earlier that morning in the horse corrals and harassing our peacocks. The wolf had been chased away. Arriving at Beaver Head, I drove up to the main headquarters to speak with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service representatives already there. They stated that they were aware of the wolf sighting and would return in the morning. I drove directly to my home, reversing my truck up to the front porch. I unloaded both of my children from their car seats and placed them on the front porch, which runs the entire length of my house. I began unloading groceries and luggage from the bed of my truck, walking in and out of the house with the front door wide open. The dogs played rambunctiously around my vehicle and around the yard. I gave little attention to the commotion of the dogs and continued to unload my truck. My daughters were still outside when I walked back out to open my front door to see my neighbor speeding up my driveway, hollering out his window. He yelled for me to take the girls inside while pointing to the dogs who were roughhousing with a colored wolf no farther than 35 feet from my 2-year-old daughter. I grabbed my girls and ran inside, slamming the door behind us. My neighbor asked for a rifle to haze the wolf and took off running in its direction. Within minutes, I heard a gunshot. I waited about 15 minutes before locking the children in the house and walking up over the hillside to locate my neighbor. I was yelling for him as loud as I could, topping out over the hill approximately 100 yards from the house. I saw the wolf stopped and staring about 50 yards in front of me. Screaming, I ran as fast as I could back to the house. Apparently, as my neighbor ran up over the hill after the wolf, she had circled back around, beating him back to the house. It was soon completely dark, and we were unable to see any further than the glow of my porch lights. My neighbor instructed me to remain inside the house with my children and dogs and not open the door at any time during the night. My overhead porch light, 2 motion lights, and a brightly lit holiday porch decoration were left on. Most of the inside lights were on, including our Christmas tree in the front window. Music played as the girls ran around the house up until about 6:30 p.m. I had just placed them in the tub and walked directly to the recliner in the living room just feet from the window. I was on the telephone when I looked over my shoulder to see the wolf staring back at me, her nose pressed against the window pane. I jumped up and stepped away from the window. She remained at the window watching me for just a few seconds before I ran out of the living room into the bathroom where my children were. I called my husband on his cell phone, who at this time was on his way home. Throughout the evening, my male border collie whimpered at the front door aggressively, trying to get out. Both dogs placed the house on high alert all night. At my husband's request, my neighbor returned to my house. He sat on my front porch with nothing but a blanket, camera, and gun in freezing temperatures until midnight when my husband returned home. At that time, they noted all the tracks on and around the front porch and attempted to preserve several tracks by placing bowls and cans over the prints. Preserving all the tracks would be impossible as fresh snowfall began to cover the ground. On Wednesday, December 14th, our neighbor returned to our house around 7:30 a.m. Together with my husband, they went to take photographs of the wolf tracks they tried to preserve the night before. New wolf tracks in the fresh snow were everywhere, all around the children's play yard, in the back of the house, leading up to and on the front porch, in the front yard, and in the driveway. Based on the location of tracks, they determined the wolf spent most of the night within 50 yards of the house. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, Cadron County Investigator, Cadron County Commissioner, all arrived around 8 a.m. Using tracking devices, the wolf was determined to be within a quarter mile of the house. I was assured that the wolf would be removed. Pressure from heavier than normal vehicle traffic and people on the ground had pushed her as far as 2 miles from our house throughout the day. Later that evening, the wolf was returning to our home and was put down by Wildlife Services. She was euthanized 150 yards from my house on private property. I was notified by Wildlife Service officers that the wolf had been removed and would no longer pose a threat to me or my children. Words cannot express the overwhelming sense of relief when I received the news. My daughters and I literally had been held prisoner in our home for over 24 hours. It's difficult to describe the terror of a predator so fearless and eager to get into my home. My responsibility as a mother is to keep my children safe at all times. For a period of time, that God-given right was stripped away. The thought of what might have been consumes my every thought. Thank you to the United States Fish and Wildlife Service for resolving this issue in a quick and effective manner. Thanks for the swift action of Wildlife Services and the professionalism of their officers. And most of all, thank you to a neighbor who placed the safety of my children above his own. Without his watchful eye, the events of my story may have very easily had an unforgivable, tragic ending. Signed, Crystal Diamond.
Okay, now the second.
This is Saturday, January 28, 2012. I was traveling east on Highway 59 with my two young daughters in the car when my oldest, who frequently gets carsick, demanded a quick roadside stop. I pulled over just east of Poverty Creek and removed her from the vehicle. We walked around for several minutes so Kaden could get some fresh air after being sick in the shoulder of the road. The driver door and back door were wide open. My 2-year-old daughter, Reese, remained in the car, crying hysterically to be removed from her seat. After about a 5-6 minute stop, I loaded Kaden back in the car. I then walked around the back of the vehicle and towards my door when I saw the wolf standing in the middle of the road within 20 feet of my open car door. I ran to jump in my car and shut the door. The wolf, who had been standing still, then walked up to the driver's side of my vehicle and stood a moment. Reese was still crying loudly. Using the camera feature on my phone, I was able to capture several photos of the fearless behavior of this uncolored wolf. He'd pace in front of my vehicle from one side to the other again and again. After watching each other for about 6-7 long minutes, the wolf seemed to tire of us and began to trot off to the south. As soon as I put the car in gear and moved forward a few feet, it would quickly stop and curiously trot back to the car. The second time he walked off, noticed movement, then returned to the road, was captured on video recording. The standoff had now lasted roughly 12-15 minutes. Needing to get on my way, I slowly drove off, leaving him sitting on the roadside shoulder, exactly where my 3-year-old daughter had been sick just minutes before. This is the second time in just over 1 month that a wolf has come within feet of my children. Signed, Crystal Diamond.
You know, I was able to sit across the table from Miss Runyon Diamond, and I tell you, hearing it come out of her mouth on these two issues was just really touching. You know, she was shedding tears, and all I could think about was my children being out there, and of course my children are a little older, but it doesn't matter. You know, having that kind of flight coming your way is something else, and I just thought it was very important that we share these issues with the public. And don't trust a wolf if you see one out there. Don't try and approach it. Make sure you try and get away as soon as possible. Of course, you don't want to turn and run, because this might cause them to chase you down. You want to get as big as possible if you were to see a wolf out in the Gila or in these local areas. I know they have been tracked here through town, so we do have wolves that are close by. We don't see them as much, but if you do see them, be prepared and be very careful. Again, it was just very touching hearing her state what happened, and I just feel really bad for that family. And you know, what really scares me is they're talking about bringing the Canadian wolf down into this area, and the Canadian wolf could go up to 200 pounds, 250 pounds. I mean, I have a friend that hunts him over in Wisconsin, and he's a little taller than I am, and he held one up high, and the head was up by his, and actually the tail was dragging on the ground. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want the Canadian wolf in this area, knowing that they're so big and ferocious. But you know, that is my feeling, and I just thought it was important to bring this issue up. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to talk about a cement plant in Harris. And you're probably wondering, why would I talk about a cement plant in Harris? Because it's changing over how it makes cement. It's going to use used tires. Randy and I got to go to a program on this last week or week before that at the Association of Counties, and I'm going to invite GCC to Harris to come speak to the Solid Waste Authority in the coming months to talk about how they use tires. But to build or to make cement, it takes a lot of heat. You take calcium, alumina, iron, and silica, and you put it together, and you make it very hot, 3,400 degrees hot, to make the cement. So to fire their kiln, they're going to use used tires. Well, just so happens that just a round figure, that for every person in New Mexico, there's one used tire per year. So let's say that's about 1.5 million tires a year, approximately. We may have a little more population than that. Well, this plant would use 1.4 million used tires a year. It's fully approved by the United States EPA. It's approved by the Portland Cement Association, and it's approved by the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District in California. So I think that there's a lot of reasons to use TDFs in cement kilns. It preserves our natural resources. We won't be using natural gas or oil or coal. It keeps tires out of landfills. There, that's the hook on me, right? Well, if we can keep our tires out of our landfills and out of our arroyos and everywhere else, Silver City will be a cleaner, nicer place to visit. So I'll keep the press notified when those guys come, and they'll come down and give us a full presentation, but we are going to start forward with working at that, and as soon as their kiln's ready, I hope they'll come and pick up all of our used tires. Does anybody else need to say anything today? Then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion passes.